all the lads, they're all kind of poking fun at the greatest of all time talk, but everyone else in any discussion thread I've seen has been debating fervently.
Mm-hmm.
And even John Jones chimed in with his 2 cents as well after the fight, which was
John
a bit
Jones
tasteless. But
yeah, he can't not be the centre of attention. Like.
Yeah.
What do you think? Is he the greatest of all time?
For me, no, but he's definitely in the discussion. And I hate to say it, but John Jones is right in his... you can't be the greatest of all time with 3 title defences in the UFC. And
one weight class.
And one weight class, yeah, that's a big thing as well.
And there was a whole kind of period of inactivity as well before those last 3 or 4 wins, like where he was like, do you know, remember the time he was, like there was talks of him ducking Tony Ferguson.
Yeah. No, you could argue that was both sides. They both pulled out as many times as each other.
Of course.
But
huge inactivity. Nearly 2 years off.
But he went through a couple of them in his career. A couple of injury spells. And like when he came back to fight Daryl Horcher way back in the day, he was out for nearly 2 years at that point. Came back, looked phenomenal. And that was kind of the resurgence of his career then. But you think about it, at that stage, I think he was 21-0. Like, I mean, he should have been fighting. Like, there's very few people get to 21-0 in any organisation and don't have a title shot already. Perhaps if he'd have got the title shot earlier, we'd have been talking about him like definitely the GOAT, and maybe if he'd have moved up to a different weight class. But yeah, it's hard to look past the likes of GSP, look past the likes of Anderson Silva, what he achieved back in the day.
Anderson Silva,
Cormier, even just because of what he did at heavyweight.
Yep.
And John Jones, I suppose you have to put his name in there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think like there's no doubt that he's the greatest lightweight in the UFC history at the moment, but there's still a bit of time to run out over the next 12 months, 18 months, 2 years, 3 years now.
But then again, if BJ Penn had gone out on top, is he in that discussion? I think BJ Penn has hurt himself because he's tarnished all his legacy by all these comebacks, coming back at featherweight, coming back at different weight classes, and looking absolutely terrible.
Yeah.
BJ Penn would possibly be in the discussion. I don't know if he'd be Khabib worthy level, but I mean the man was a legend at 155.
I think he was, but in a different era as well. You know, I don't think the skill levels were the same. You know, I think he was he was getting away with his prodigy status. You know, and his obviously natural ability and aptitude for jiu-jitsu and his takedown defense was awesome and obviously his explosive boxing. Actually, he was a great fighter. What am I talking about?
This is just it. he was one of the first guys that had the full game.
Yeah,
excellent on the feet, excellent on the mat, excellent wrestling. He was the first legit all-rounder. No, probably not maybe the first legit all-rounder, but a world champion that was absolutely a nightmare for you everywhere. So like I was a BJ Penn fan. That's the reason I want his name in the discussion. But I understand what he's done since then.
It's tarnished it, like it's
100%.
taken. And I think that's the thing about the Khabib retirement as well. I think he's playing it really smart. I think this is the right time for him to retire.
He's put his name in that discussion by retiring.
Yeah. And we were saying earlier on, you don't reckon he's the kind of guy that's going to retire and then come back from retirement.
100% not. Even what he said that, and you know the way he is a family man, and with his father passing away, and that he made his mother a promise that he wouldn't get back in there. Like if I made my mother a promise that I wouldn't do something again, by God, she'd fucking kill me if I went and did it again. Do you know what I mean? And I imagine that's tenfold for Khabib.
Yeah, definitely. And I don't think he has anything to gain to come back from.
No,
like all he can do now is come back and lose his the
momentum he has.
Yeah.
And I mean, if he comes back and fights at lightweight, fights any of those guys, even a Chandler, someone new, a Charles Oliveira, a Tony Ferguson possibly, which is the fight I suppose everyone wanted to see. Like you say, he can't better what he's done. It's only adding one more victory to it. Like the real thing was if he came back and fought someone like GSP or went up and fought Kamaru Usman for the 70 title, to add to his legacy. But
I think that a fight like that puts him in the greatest of all time discussion. But before that, I don't think. I think obviously I'm a huge Khabib fan, and you can't take away from his things or his achievements. But I'm with you. I don't think he can be greatest of all time without jumping a weight class.
Well, here's the thing. Weirdly, so with the GSP thing, I don't class him as in that discussion because of what he did at middleweight. in fact, what he did at middleweight pisses me off.
It was an easier fight than staying at welter.
How many years did we want to see him go up and fight Anderson?
Yeah.
And he waited until Michael Bisping, no disrespect to Bisping,
Yeah,
he waited until Bisping, a much easier stylistic fight for him, was champion, and then went up after a long time off, and both were battle worn at that point. Like, you know, Bisping had a lot of miles on the clock.
Did Bisping have his 2 eyes at that stage? I don't think he did.
No, absolutely not. That was Bisping's last fight, sure.
Yeah.
Oh no, he came back after that, didn't he? I think he might have had one after that.
No, he didn't. That was it.
Did he not get knocked out again shortly after that? And then left. Bounced. And then he fought someone in London as his retirement fight or something.
I'll have to check it out. I can't remember.
But yeah, like Bisping got the title on his way out. Bisping was on his way out. Bisping was on his, I suppose, ceremonial lap kind of thing. That's all he was doing, and just happened to get that title shot in short notice. I'm delighted he got the title, but like his two attempted title defenses, I should say, Dan Henderson and GSP. He wasn't going to take on any contenders at 85. Like, he was having none of it.
And the other thing is, do you reckon that Khabib has eclipsed Fedor as the greatest Russian wrestler or greatest Russian MMA fighter of all time?
I'm going to get a lot of shit for this, but Fedor was never on my radar for gold.
Oh, really?
Really? Look, it took me a while to go back on the Pride. I was slow to the Pride era. Like, I know everyone was repping those Pride shirts long before, and I was like, fuck Pride. They're just street rules over there. But I did get back into it, and I watched over them. Fedor was an animal in Pride, but he's lost against a lot of former UFC guys. He lost over in Bellator. I don't know, and I know he's aging, but again, like what BJ Penn did with his legacy. Yeah, I think if Fedor had drifted off into obscurity after he'd won.
But I think that's the thing, like, that this is Khabib's chance now to just ride off into the sunset.
100%.
And keep like this status now. I would prefer to see him go up and fight Usman or somebody else, or GSP or something like that. But I think he's playing it smart. He's playing it smart 100%. And safe, and for that reason, the safe element of it, he can't be the GOAT in my eyes.
True. Very true. Yeah. And I go back to what I've always said is anyone that pops, in my opinion, can't be in the discussion. That's just for me personally. But like John Jones. Did he pop, did he? No, God, no. Oh, yeah. But what I'm saying is John Jones coming in attacking him. John Jones isn't in the discussion for me. He might be the greatest fighter of all time based on his record. Yeah. But for me, he's not in the discussion of the greatest of all time because of that.
And you have to go ahead and question his fights as well with Dominic Reyes and Thiago Santos.
100%. Two losses for me.
And Alexander.
I had him winning the Gus fight. Yeah. A lot of people said Gus won that fight. I scored it for Jones. But the Santos fight, I scored for Santos. And the Reyes fight, I scored for Reyes. And then he's on about bouncing out of the light heavyweight division after his two toughest fights. Yeah. And look, if John Jones does go up to heavyweight and runs amok up there and gets the belt and defends it a couple of times, it's going to be hard for anyone to say that he's not the greatest of all time. But there will always be several asterisks next to that man's name. So he's the last person that should be coming out and denying a man's claim for the greatest of all time, in my opinion.
Is it over for McGregor for that GOAT talk, do you reckon?
No, yeah.
That's why I think he's seething. Like,
yeah, like I
feel so much for Conor. Like at this stage,
the one thing from what I've been reading online is that whether you're on board with Khabib being one of the greatest of all time or not, he's considered the greatest lightweight of all time.
Yeah, 100%.
Even though my argument about BJ Penn is going nowhere, but I'll still plug away BJ. So if that's your legacy, if you're in that weight class at that time, you can't be the greatest of all time. You never will be the greatest of all time if Khabib is bouncing as the greatest lightweight of all time. So that's even if McGregor goes off now and gets the belt again, and even goes up and gets the 70 belt, he'll be in the discussion, but people will always say Khabib is above him.
Yeah. I think for I think we'll see if McGregor, we say let's say he gets through Poirier and gets this next kind of run done. I don't think he's going to be able to settle until he gets that rematch. And I think he's going to pull some mad shit to pull Khabib out of retirement. I think he's going to insult his religion. He's going to insult his mother. He's going to insult his wife. He's going to insult everything. Yeah. And he's going to get him out of retirement. Or going to try and get him out of retirement. But I don't think...
Then again, he seems to have turned the corner, like with the Abdulmanap stuff that he's tweeted at him a few times now with his condolences and even after the fight. Now, I've read something that there was a nasty tweet from McGregor's account right after the fight, which was shortly after deleted. Yeah.
I didn't see it.
But then there was another tweet came out saying respect to Khabib and I'll continue on, something along those lines. And again, saying that condolences to his family and it must be a tough time for him and all that. So he's kind of turned the corner in that sense. I don't think he wants to... I think he realised he made mistakes in the run-up to the Khabib first fight, and the way he handled the pressure with Khabib, and 229 and the way Khabib reacted after the fight was kind of an eye-opener for McGregor. He realised that, okay, you can shit-talk people, but some people will take that real personal.
Yeah, I don't think that'll ever affect him. I think he's going to shit-talk his way through the next number of fights, regardless. I think that... Yeah. He realizes that's where his money is going to be made, you know. But
I can't see him going down the road of family religion again.
I don't know.
You think he would?
I think he would.
You think he gets that belt back and he starts attacking Khabib again?
I think, yeah. I think he's going to have to do something to try and pull Khabib out of retirement if he wants to. Like for Conor, he's not going to be happy with beating Poirier and getting an interim title.
Yeah.
Or even a real title at this stage. He's not going to be happy with it. Yeah. It's just not going to float his boat.
Yeah.
He's going to want that Khabib rematch.
His claim all along, of course, was that before Khabib beat him, that other people were holding his belt.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's Khabib's belt, and it's very different. Yeah.
Yeah. So I expect him to start World War III to get that rematch. Like.
150 million Russians against 6 million Irish, yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, I don't like our odds there.
No.
Just bring Dagestan over, I think we're finished. I suppose, do you want to get into the lightweight stuff before we go down through the rest of the card? Or?
I don't know. What do you reckon?
I think when we're already on the topic.
Yeah, sure, why not? Yeah, what do you reckon? Are we gonna have Khabib and Poirier for the interim?
McGregor Poirier.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just checking to see if you're awake.
It's a tricky one. Like I said, a lot of the discussion online is calling for a tournament, but the UFC they want. I could be completely wrong. And Ali Abdelaziz, as I said earlier, has brought out a tweet saying the belt is not vacated, which kind of buys the UFC 12 months to play around with the division.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to strip Khabib until he's been inactive for a certain period of time.
Mm-hmm. Although if he's officially retired, though.
Yeah,
he officially retired, and then Ali threw in that tweet, basically kind of null and voiding that.
So this is my point. The UFC will do what the UFC want to do in this situation. So if it benefits them to just strip the belt now, they'll do it and they'll have a title fight. But the fact that there's so many guys in the picture, so it's either going to be, in my opinion, either McGregor Poirier, which is the only fight that's near done. Either that'll be for the title, or they will do some kind of tournament. Probably only a 4-man. I can't see an 8-man. But they'll run a 4-man tournament over the course of the next 8 to 12 months. And when they get to the final, they'll either decide then to strip Khabib or not. But it does buy them a little time, the fact that has been put out there. And they'll run the kind of story that we're letting the door open for Khabib to come back if he ever wants to. And I think Dana knows he's not coming back, but
that 30-0 though.
Yeah,
that 30-0 has to happen.
100%. Look, if he does go up in 29-0, fair enough. But like even the fact that all he's talked beforehand about the father wanting him to get to 30-0, I think that's going to play in his mind somewhat.
Yep, and I think as well as it like we saw this with other fighters who are dealing with losses as well. Walt Harris springs to mind like that.
Yeah.
You know, the fight in the immediate aftermath of a loss, you say a lot of things that are based on kind of emotion and, you know. Now, it seemed like the retirement talk was very, very well thought out.
Yeah.
But like 3, 4, 5 weeks out, even watching the Poirier-McGregor fight might kind of
100%.
shake something loose. we're clutching at straws here now, but
here's the other side of it. So they've come out since the fight and excuse me, and said that it was their toughest camp they've ever gone through. That he had some viral infection, then he had a broken toe. Yeah. So they went through he had mumps, I believe. So they went through the middle before the fight.
Missed weight as well.
Blatantly missed weight. He was 265 or 165 on the scale. Looked like he missed weight.
Yeah.
So a horrible run up to the fight. Mm-hmm. Could those words have been said in kind of a no, fuck this, I'm not doing it again?
Yeah, true.
Heat of the moment kind of decision. Like you said, it did look well thought out, and the fact that he was talking about his mother and his father in it, and he was very emotional after the fight. I don't see him coming back, but there are a lot of kind of factors that you could see him come back eventually for the 30, But as it stands, let's say he's retired.
Yeah.
So what do you do if you're matchmaker?
Yeah, so we were having kind of a talk about this earlier on. You were saying like the top four, we say Ferguson, Poirier, Gaethje, McGregor. They've all lost to Khabib.
No, well, they're all coming off a loss. Tony's lost to Gaethje.
Correct.
The other three
so they're all coming off a loss, but yet they're the top four.
Yeah.
And then all of the other guys that are on runs underneath them are like,
there's some
what the
animals.
Fuck, dude? Yeah.
Animals. So Islam
Makhachev isn't, he's right up there, and he'd be kind of carrying the flag for the Khabib team as well. So
yeah,
he'd have a stake in there. And sure, Ali Abdulaziz is working his magic in 100%. The background there, trying to get him into that picture. Charles Oliveira is on
7-fight win streak.
Dan Hooker, he lost to Felder, right?
Yeah,
Dan Hooker and Felder, like Felder. I don't see Felder being a title holder.
No, but he's put himself in that picture.
Yeah.
And again, go back to what I said to you earlier today. The division has been held up for so long, and there's been a bottleneck. You've had people move up, move down to get out of the division because they don't see any way to the title. All of a sudden now there's an apparent route to the title. If they come out and say that those top four are squaring off again for the belt, there'll be uproar from 5 down. And
Ali Kinda, did he fight after he fought Khabib?
Don't believe so, no.
And he arguably he's done the best against Khabib out of that ring of four. We'll say
you could easily say that. Yeah, that was Khabib, but then again, that was probably Khabib's second worst performance in the UFC, in my opinion. You have did you see the tweet back and forth between himself and Dustin Poirier?
From Ali Quinta, I did, yeah,
absolutely hilarious. For those that didn't see it, basically Ali Quinta put out this thing about the fight with McGregor, and that he's just taking the fight as a kind of because of the 500,000 to charity, and it was
he's being a fanboy,
and that's the only reason he was taking the fight. And Poirier came back at him, goes, "Wow, don't buy a house off of this guy." Basically, like he's not even a fighter; he's a real estate agent. Iaquinta's being very smart in trying to get himself in that picture, and the fact that he is the best fight against Khabib, arguably. Well, definitely in the last few years, he could be like. He's definitely going to have some kind of say in this as well. And he's ranked number 9. So you've 9 guys theoretically above him. And I'm including Michael Chandler in that, even though I'm going to get hit.
Yeah, Chandler, where do you put him? Like, because I know he was an alternate, like, for this fight, for this weekend. Fair enough. I don't think anybody else would want to be an alternate for that fight. But he's kind of like jumping in because it obviously gives him street cred with UFC. He's a company man now, even though he hasn't even fought yet. And he's already a company man,
and they're definitely going to reward him for that.
Yeah, 100%. So, like, does he get into that top 4, top 5?
The way I see it playing out personally, Gaethje has said that he's willing to fight very soon. So you'll have McGregor Poirier, which is pretty much a done deal from what you can see, and you'll have McGregor Poirier, and Gaethje will fight Chandler. And because they're the only 3 guys that lost to Khabib, that's their loss. Tony had a terrible loss against Gaethje. I reckon Tony against Charles Oliveira or someone like that for a contender down the road. But I reckon it'll be those 4 guys that'll square off in the belt maybe late next year.
The other thing as well that I said would be on my wish list is to just bring that whole division over to Fight Island, keep them there for like 6 weeks, and just make them fight till we get it.
Absolutely Unbelievable.
It'll never happen, but it would be cool.
But if you bring over like the top 10 guys, anyone that has to pull out from injury, just next guy up.
Yeah.
It would be crazy.
Yeah.
Back to the old days.
Yeah. Be mad. And like there is people making serious climbs up the ladder just by taking that opportunity of saying, I'm going to Fight Island, I'm going to be on the first card, and I'm going to get through the first one, and I'm going to like shout my way into a second fight and a third fight. Isn't that what Chimaev did? Did he do?
Yeah,
did he do?
He fought 2 weeks later, and then it was over in Vegas. Then 3 or 4 weeks later.
But that's the way you climb the ladder. Like, you know, that you just got to do it. Like, take the opportunity while it's there. You know.
And you take lightweight. There's a lot of guys doing that at the moment at lightweight, and there's a lot of contenders coming out. Like even you go through that card. You had Yoel Alvarez in the first fight of the prelims and the undercard prelims, looking phenomenal. Yeah, looking absolutely phenomenal. Every card now, there seems to be some new contender at 155. I reckon it's going to be very interesting in the next, I suppose, year or so. What happens at lightweight?
Yeah, I'm just looking at my notes of Yoel Alvarez.
Yeah, he pulled off the submission early on. Looked phenomenal.
He missed weight though. That's the only thing.
Did he?
He did. Yeah. He was 5 pounds over, I think, or 3 pounds over.
Ooh.
He was a good bit off anyway.
That kind of negates a big win.
Yeah, and he has a win over Joe Duffy.
Yeah. But very slick submissions. Very, very slick.
Yeah, so it was that was the one where he got the head in the outside. So Yakovlev got the head on the outside single, and Alvarez just literally just wrapped it up straight away.
Yeah, and he went for the armbar then, got the armbar, wouldn't it?
You're right.
Yakovlev now has lost half of his losses are by armbar.
Nice.
I mean, don't shoot for a takedown if your arms are susceptible to be.
Yeah, and head on the outside single as well. You know, that was against a guy that is a submission. Like you just got to be absolutely sure that you're finishing those takedowns safely. And the head in the outside single, I prefer the head in the outside single as a single leg finish. But the danger is the guillotine if your posture isn't.
But that's it. That's all well and good in a wrestling sense. But if you're against a submission guy, that's a terrible tactic to go into the fight like that. But still, Alvarez transitions looks very slick. I didn't realize he missed weight though. That's fucking. It's going to negate all that work.
Is he a black belt in jiu-jitsu? I know he's Spanish, but
not sure. He looked a black belt. He looked every bit of a black belt.
Yeah, because it's a very strong kind of jiu-jitsu community in Spain. You know, I know they're not speaking Portuguese, but they're right next to Portugal, and there's an awful lot of black belts over there. Know. So yeah, interesting. So while we're on, that was the opening fight of the UFC 254 card. We'll just work our way through the card now and break into the 254 review. Yeah. Are we happy enough with the discussion on the Khabib and lightweights? It'll
be interesting to see what happens. They've got to announce something soon. I think like the McGregor-Poirier fight needs to be confirmed soon. Like it's January 23rd, I believe, is the date. Yeah, and the fact that as well, it just came to my head there. If they're actually doing the Cowboy Stadium or not the Cowboy Stadium?
I don't think they are.
Or are they not?
The Dallas Cowboy Stadium, is it?
Not Dallas Cowboys. What's the new one in Vegas?
The Apex? No.
No. The stadium. So they moved an NFL team there.
Oh yeah. No, I don't know.
McGregor's apparently pally with the owner.
I thought that was the Dallas Cowboy Stadium. Now he was pally with the owner of that.
Was it?
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah.
But either way, I was just thinking in my head there, if they could get that done, they'd 100% do it for a title fight.
Yeah,
it'll be the only event in the foreseeable future that they'll be able to have fans in.
Yeah,
and they could cater for about 22 to 25,000 fans, even with social distancing.
Yeah.
So if that was the case and they could get that done, it'll 100% be for the title.
Yeah. That's the power of the draw, isn't it?
Yeah, but either way, look, the next few weeks will tell a lot in the lightweight division.
Actually, did you see their promo on the Etihad Stadium in Abu Dhabi?
No.
See that one? No. So they're like, it looks like now. Okay, Fight Island has obviously been a great success for the UFC. Great success for Abu Dhabi. Becoming the savior of the UFC universe, you know.
Yeah.
But they've literally just built a huge stadium, and it looks like it's going to be like the new home for UFC, certainly for half the year, I'd say. So I think it's going to be between the new Vegas stadium and the new Etihad stadium, and it's like
Jesus Christ.
I can't even. I think it's like 20,000 just on the floor standing capacity, and then you have the stadium seating around it. So I don't know what the full capacity.
You're talking 100,000, so
I don't know, would it get that far? But I'm definitely thinking 50,000. But I'd have to double check now. But it looks huge, and it's all like Abu Dhabi and Middle East, and how they spare no expense on these big events, you know. And it's like custom for boxing.
Is it 24,000 seated on the stadium floor?
It looks like standing, but maybe I suppose they can't really have people standing. Yeah.
Maybe I don't know what the laws are over there. They might be able to do it, but
I don't think they have laws.
They can do some crazy shit over there.
They can do camels and everything in the crowd. The Etihad. How do you spell Etihad?
Etihad.
Etihad. Etihad Stadium in Abu Dhabi, isn't it?
Yeah, that would be insane. And plus, going back to what we were talking about earlier, if that is the case, that's going to become the home for the Russian fighters, the Kazakh fighters, the Georgian fighters, the Polish fighters, the Chinese fighters,
the Kazakhstan wave that's coming in.
Yeah. Oh shit. There'll be a lot of world title fights over there.
I think so.
Even the two. So at the moment, you have a Chinese champion, 2 New Zealand champions.
Yep.
Russian champion just retired. Polish champion. Yep. By 2024, there'll be at least half of the belts over that part of the world.
Yep. It is interesting to see like the kind of migration of the national flags going from like all American flags to just going like.
Wasn't there at one stage? It was maybe about 2000 and.
It was all Brazilian, was it?
11, 12. It went from mostly Brazilian to mostly American. And there was at one point, I think they were basically, I think there was like 3 that weren't American title holders, and they had 3 Americans lined up next for the belt. Now, I don't think any of them won, but I think one of them was Chad Mendes against Jose Aldo at the time. But like the American, it was a clear path from mostly Brazilian champions to mostly American champions, and then right after that, it went all over the world.
So I'm on the Etihad arena, and it doesn't say a capacity for the crowd, but it says 18,000 guest capacity, as in like that's where the adjacent hotel and all of that kind of carry on, you know.
18,000.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
It's huge. Like the video now on the UFC event, like it just looked like it's going to be massive, the new mecca, like for MMA. Like I don't think it won't just be
MMA. It'll be boxing. It'll be everything.
Yep, absolutely. And I think the idea as well is that, like, you know, they have the Abu Dhabi is almost the center of jiu-jitsu tournaments in the world as well, you know, with the ADCC going from there, and the royalty over there just kind of playing patronage to the sport of Brazilian jiu-jitsu, like, you know. So I think this doesn't I don't think this goes down well with the lads from Brave and Bahrain, you know.
They're hurting their market?
I think so.
But is it not becoming in a way so that, although I know Brave at some point will probably want to compete at a higher level, but like that their fighters will translate more over towards the UFC, and it'll give them a bigger platform going forward.
Yeah, they become the feeder show for that region.
Yeah, but like a lot of the promotions that have become feeder clubs initially have become bigger promotions as a result. Like even looking at Invicta became a big promotion because of all the fighters going from there to the UFC.
Yeah,
and it garnered a huge following as a result. Now they didn't stop being a feeder club. I suppose that's the problem. A feeder promotion. Yeah, I don't think Brave want to be a feeder promotion.
I don't think so. I think the idea of like the Prince of Bahrain kind of investing so much money into KHK and investing so much money into Brave and the IMAF championships as well was for Bahrain to become the capital. Yeah, not to open the door for Abu Dhabi to become the capital. Yeah, I think there's a lot of rivalry between those different Middle Eastern kind of principalities. Yeah, and I don't think this will go down well. But look, you know,
healthy competition,
yeah, and I think it sets the Middle East up as the new kind of center of the world of MMA now. You know, we're it's no longer Vegas. Vegas is like, Vegas is the last generation. You know,
but even you said the IMAFs made a very clear move from America over to that part of the world because you could see where the next generation of fighters was coming from. Yeah, so were IMAFs just 5 years ahead of the pro leagues?
They kind of did it by accident. Well, not by accident. They did it by necessity.
That's where the money was coming from.
That's where the sponsorship was coming from. Yeah, I mean, like for them to run an event, it's like $500,000, and you know, like where as like we say with the Olympics, and they go to a city, the city pays for it, and a country will bid to host the Olympics, and they'll put a massive infrastructural investment into it. The whole.
They make that money back in tourism, etc. In theory,
that doesn't usually happen, but and that's the kind of model that IMAF was hoping to get to. But I mean, IMAF in comparison to Olympics is not really a runner at the moment.
No.
So, like America wasn't going to pay for hosting the IMAF Worlds every year, $500,000 a pop.
When there was nothing coming back from it.
Yeah, there's only so much the UFC are going to sponsor it, you know.
Yeah.
But then the Prince of Bahrain had a very, very clear goal. I want to make Bahrain the capital of MMA in the Middle East. I have deep pockets. Come on over. They did a 3-year run of world championships, one after the other, and look at what it's after doing, you know. But we saw a market improvement in the level because it was based in Bahrain, because now you had all of the, like, it's almost central to so many different powerful.
You've Oceania, you've Asia, you've Eastern Europe, Western Europe is very close.
Yep. Yeah. Like for us to go to Bahrain is the same as for us to go to Vegas.
Yeah.
But for the Russians to go there, it's just the wrong direction, you know, particularly for
visa issues, everything as well.
Yeah.
America was kind of a non-runner, especially the fact that the amateur sport over there doesn't really have a foothold at all.
But this is it then. So we have the invasion of the Russians is definitely going to continue.
And the Kazakhs.
The Kazakhs are next.
Well, the Kazakhs might have just started.
Yeah.
Mr. Rakhmonov,
you had him pegged from his attire, I heard.
Yeah, so I basically saw this man's hat. A photo of him in his hat before the fight, and I was like, I'm betting. I'd never seen him compete. Didn't know much of him. I saw that he was, I think it was 12-0 going into the fight, and said I'd put a little cheeky bet on him. My God, did that pay off?
Yep.
A freak.
Yep.
So you've him now at 13-0, Chimaev at 9-0, both at welterweight. Yuck. Imagine being a welterweight in the UFC right now.
Or imagine being a lightweight looking at moving up.
Fuck that. And he looks a huge dude as well. He looks like he could comfortably fight at 85 as well.
Yeah. But this is it, like I was saying, with regards to the IMAF, like Kazakhstan are a huge force to be reckoned with at IMAF level. And in 2021, the IMAF Asian Open is going to be at the end of June. But they've also got the World Combat Games are based in Kazakhstan in 2021. And I reckon there's a litany of amateur athletes that are going to turn pro after that season. I think they're going to do the World Combat Games. They're going to do the Asian Open. They're going to attend the Worlds. And then a slew of them will turn pro straight afterwards. So from 2022 to 2023, they'll be on these kind of feeder shows. Maybe one or two will get the UFC call-up based on their amateur record. I don't see it happening that way. But
the UFC don't tend to take up guys unless we were only talking about this, unless they go through a Dana White Contender Series, an Ultimate Fighter, or they've had close to 10 fights.
The only thing is that Mokaev was rumored to have received an offer from the UFC.
Really? At 0-0?
At 0-0, yeah.
Ooh.
Now, it would have been a developmental contract.
See, they still would have put him out on like a different promotion.
Yeah, I'm not sure whether. Yeah, that may like they put Greg Hardy on a developmental contract, so it would have been kind of something like that. So, and the reason Mukev didn't take it, he was like, I'm never taking a developmental contract. You take me you take me for what I am, and that's it. No, I don't need the champ. Yeah, I don't need developmental. You know? Yeah. And that's why he signed with Brave, and he'll go from Brave direct into the UFC if he continues his run, you know.
Yeah.
So maybe after 2021, a lot of these Kazakh fighters will maybe fight in the UAE Warriors, maybe fight in Brave, maybe fight in I don't know, is M1 Global still going?
As far as I know, yeah.
So there's a few feeder shows there that could all kind of bring them through.
Even one of a lot of those guys where they do take up a lot of guys that 0-0, 1-0.
Mm-hmm. But are they feeding into the UFC from there? I suppose Ben Askren came from there.
Not necessarily, but you see a lot of guys from that region. If you go down through their record, they have fights dating back in one before they move to America, and then they might either go to the UFC or pick up a different couple of fights in a smaller promotion in America.
Yeah.
But one, don't hesitate to take guys up at 1-0, 2-0, even 0-0, and give them 3, 4, 5 fight contracts, and a lot of them bounce after that because they've got the experience of a big promotion.
Yeah, so they beware of the Kazakh wave
and the Russian wave.
Get used to that flag, that kind of,
and the hat,
cyan. Yeah, and the hat.
that thing had legs and a tail. that fucking hat had legs and a tail. I was like, this thing is living on top of his fucking head.
Actually watched the Borat movie
this week as well. Already?
Yeah. Oh, it's hilarious. It's hilarious.
Need to watch it.
I can't understand how that man can get back into America or Kazakhstan for that matter. Like,
no idea.
I don't know how he hasn't been assassinated already.
But the funny thing about it is, after the first movie, there was death threats coming from Kazakhstan, and he was like number one enemy in Kazakhstan. I actually sounded like I was fucking talking from Kazakhstan. Number one enemy. But it was about 2 years later they realised what the film actually did for their tourism industry, and he's a hero over there now.
Is he? Yeah.
No, the layman probably still fucking hates him and goes, "Don't be taking the piss out of us." But if he went over there now, he'd be given like a guard of honor kind of welcome because he's done so much for the tourism over there.
Yeah, some crazy scenes again. Like I don't know how he I don't know how he pulls it off. Like, but there's a little bit more.
How does he get a visa?
I don't know. I have no idea. Maybe he buys it on.
Lots of money. Has to be lots of money. And just stay the fuck away from me when you come over.
But like, I don't even know how he got. Well, he managed to get in and interview Rudy Giuliani. Like, it was his co-star that interviewed him, but he was actually on set, dressed up as another character, like literally in the same room, and managed to coordinate the whole thing to get the dirt on Rudy. No,
it's crazy.
Yeah, mad. Anyway, another Kazakh that we have to watch out for is Borat. Anyway,
100%. I need to watch that film.
Yeah, it's very, very good.
Next up, you had Casey Kenny and Italian Wood. I want to hear who did you give it to?
I had it for Wood.
Yeah,
I had it 2 rounds to 1. I think that Nathaniel Wood was just his shot selection was better. Kenny was throwing bigger shots, not necessarily landing bigger shots, but this is the thing.
A lot of them were caught on the arm and the shoulder.
Yeah. But we had something very similar, not in MMA, but in the boxing world, was the last Katie Taylor fight.
Yeah.
And for the very same reason, Katie Taylor got the decision in boxing because she picked the cleaner shots, whereas her opponent was coming forward with power, maybe landing a bit more than Casey was here, but for the same reason. So it really comes down to, this is where like you have no control over the judges in that regard, not only for whether they make the right decision or not, but what's their preference. Do they prefer accuracy or do they prefer power?
But here's what I don't get. So one of the judges gave it 30-27.
Yeah, that was ridiculous.
To Kenny. He fell asleep during the second round. I want to see video evidence that man wasn't asleep or on a fucking Zoom call during that second round.
Yeah.
Because Wood clearly outstruck him in the second round. There was no question. Yeah, the judging criteria needs to be changed completely. I know people have been saying it forever, but it's not. It doesn't fit MMA.
I think eventually it's going to be based on stats and artificial intelligence anyway. You know,
could be, but even at that, it's hard to judge what's a significant strike, or what's like, are there degrees of significant strike?
Yeah.
Like, how many fights have you seen where a person has been outstruck and outlanded, but their significant strikes are far more? And I mean, I hate to go to this analogy, but if that's a fight on the street, the guy who's landed the significant strikes, everyone's saying he won that fight. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, it's a strange one, but I thought that was very badly judged. Casey Kenny is a hot prospect at 35, but Nathaniel Wood should feel a little bit robbed.
Yeah. And the two of them were it was interesting, the two of them were regional champions as well.
Yeah. Wood, Cage Warriors, wasn't he?
Cage Warriors bantamweight champ, yeah. Casey Kenny was like, is it
LFA, I think.
Legacy, is it? Is that Legacy?
Legacy fighting, yeah.
Yeah, and he was a two-way champion in Legacy.
25 and 35?
Yeah. So, good matchmaking, I think.
Yeah, very good.
Even though I think it was Nathaniel Wood got called up on short notice. He had only 3 weeks' notice.
3 weeks' notice, but they both had a couple of fights on the UFC. Wood has had a couple of fights in the UFC.
He has, yeah. He won his debut.
It wasn't his debut, yeah. I'd like to see them run that back, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, it's a good fight for and to bring it back, like to give both of them a full camp as well. I know Casey Kenny had a full camp, but Nathaniel Wood to have a full camp, and get to the bantamweight as well. You know, they fought at 63 at or 140 pounds catchweight, just because Nathaniel Wood wasn't going to make it, and he had a tough weight cut to get to that 140 as well.
Yeah.
There was talk of him going, like dangers of him gassing in the third round, but like he didn't.
He looked phenomenal. Yeah,
he was brilliant. Like, yeah, his shot selection was awesome.
Yeah, I think run it back at 35, both full camp, and I'd put a number alongside the winner of that rematch.
Yeah, tough division now. See any one of them?
Unbelievable. Yeah, two completely unranked guys steal the show on a number card, a pay-per-view card.
Yeah.
To win fight of the night, they were phenomenal. Yeah.
What do you make of smiling Sam Alvey?
Yeah, Jesus.
He was a lucky man to escape
that's
a
another
few KO
one.
shots. Like,
that's another one. I did not score that a draw. How do you say that the last round is a 10-8?
Yeah, I don't think it was. Yeah, I think I gave that 2-1 for Sam Alvey.
Same.
But there's the thing about Sam Alvey, like he's light heavyweight division. He's not going to be a title contender. I don't think.
Definitely not. Like he looked like a guy who was out of shape. You know, he tired in the last round. He looked overweight. Like he was never chisel bodied at 85. But I think 205 he's too slow, too big at that weight.
Too slow. And if he drops weight, he'll be slower again.
Yeah, and he doesn't really, because he was known for knockout power at 85.
Yeah.
And that was his big kind of, he had the overhand right, and that was his big weapon. I don't think that's there at 205.
Well, yeah, it's like looking from a coaching point of view, his hip alignment is way off. He's got his back leg pointed completely to the side, and his hip is basically hinged outwards.
Yeah.
So he's getting huge power, but that's all like donkey strength. That's not coming from. Yeah. That's not coming from technical knockout power. And if he hasn't got it by now, 33 wins and 14 losses. So what's he's like 47. He's just almost 50 fights in. He's not going to learn it now. I think he's going to be taking a lot of damage at light heavyweight. If he's moving up the ranks now, he moves into someone like a Thiago Santos or an Anthony Smith or someone like that. He's going to take a lot of punishment.
And his style as well, that he kind of tends to put his back to the fence and kind of play possum and wait for that right hand. That's all. He was doing that at middleweight, and he still got touched up a few times at middleweight. He still had a fairly shitty run in some of his fights at middleweight.
But he's on a 4-fight win streak. Is this his 4th fight win streak, or is this his 3rd fight?
So this was fight 4, but that's not a win. It was a draw.
Yes, of course. Yeah, sorry.
But yeah, I know what you're saying. You could argue that it was 4-fight win streak, but
I'm just looking at the guys up ahead of him, like, and he's gonna get brain damage, like fighting these guys.
The way his style of fight against these guys, 100%.
And he's got 5 kids as well.
Oh, gee, 5 kids.
5 kids.
The fuck was he?
And that's his wife in the corner as well.
By the way,
she did a great job.
I was just gonna say, serious fucking advice.
Yeah.
Is she a fighting background there?
I have no idea.
She must have.
I have no idea.
Because she was giving very technical advice.
Yeah.
So she must have some kind of background in it.
Yeah. I'd say they're probably training together for years anyway. Like,
yeah.
You know, but yeah, the opponent Jung from Korea looked sharp. Like his boxing was sharp. Like, he just looked like he just wasn't pulling the trigger.
Yeah, he looked very laboured for a lot of it. Yeah.
He was standing in the pocket. He was right in the right range to throw, and then he would just stand there and get clipped.
Yeah, and from what I've seen of him, he does have devastating power.
Yeah, 100%. Like a few of the combinations that did land, like could have pushed anybody else out.
Yeah.
But what he was missing was a few feints. He needed to draw Alvi out and then hit him on the return, because he had the speed advantage. He had like more than ample speed advantage, and he just didn't. It didn't actually play out for him at all. Yeah. Like Alvi was hitting him without the right to hit him. Yeah. So, but yeah,
strange one.
Yeah,
I don't like Alvi at 205 though.
Yeah, like you can't complain that like he is on a he's on a good run, but I mean at a certain point, like what is it really worth, if you're not going to be a title holder?
Mm-hmm.
Is it really worth the money? Like, he would get more money just working a regular job.
Would he though?
I think like he can't be on big money. He's not a huge draw, is he?
No, but he's 15 fights in the UFC. So
what would he be on? Maybe 50 grand?
50 grand show, 50 grand to win, possibly. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I suppose when you put it like that, he's not gonna.
If he goes out, and even if he has 2 losses in the year, that's 100k. 100k is a decent salary in America.
Yeah, how much?
No, it's not a huge salary, but it's a decent salary. Like, I mean, what's he you don't know what the guy's. Is he qualified to?
I don't know. I have no idea what his background is, but
yeah,
I suppose for. I don't know, he couldn't get.
Like,
it really depends. Like.
He's not going to get that coming out and coaching MMA and doing one-on-ones. He's not going to get anywhere near that.
No.
So you wouldn't.
I wouldn't think he'd be a big draw for seminars.
Yeah, maybe he's just trying to have one last run at the title, but yeah, it's close to curtains.
I think so. Yeah.
Couple of people calling for it. Speaking of close to curtains, the next fight.
What was the next fight?
Stefan Struve.
Yeah. Struve.
God damn it, he needs to hang him up.
He does.
Look, here's the weird thing about Struve. What height is he? 7 foot?
6.
We had this discussion
11 and a half.
Depends who you ask.
6'11" and a half is what they actually put him down as this time around.
Yeah, so 6'11" and a half, and couldn't spell jab. What the fuck is up with that? Like,
yeah, I know.
It's absurd. How do you let guys and fall back against the cage with your chin up in the air and your arms up like this? It's like I can never and I've seen him in how many fights do this. He never tries to stay at range against anyone, and he's taller than nearly everyone he fights. Against everyone he fights.
I don't think he's ever been on the losing side of the stats for height anyway.
No.
He's not even in the top 15.
No. Like, this guy holds a win over Stipe Miocic. Knocked out Stipe Miocic when he was on. Like, he needs to go, if he's going to continue fighting, I don't know who he's training with. I haven't followed the man that fervently, but he needs to go to a good coach. And is he too old for that even? To get him back to basics and jabbing? And is a long camp going to be enough, basically, to get him to a position where he can use his range?
Well, following this loss, it looks like he's at least 5 fights away from a title now.
If not more.
Yeah.
At heavyweight?
Yeah.
Like, you look at the top 3 or 4 there, and they're looking untouchable right now. You'd have to go on an absolute streak, 5-6 wins to get up there and fight an Ngannou or a Derek Lewis. Or even a Curtis Blades.
Yeah, Curtis Blades would be bad. Like, they're all bad matchups for him.
Horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. And Tuivasa was under pressure, 3-fight skid. And look, I think the UFC really want this guy to hang about. He's the new Mark Hunt. He's entertaining. He's the shoey.
Yeah.
Do you know, he just he brings eyes. Even in the embedded series during the week, Tuivasa kind of he shone during it. There was a lot of coverage of him. He was with some social media influencers, some group of lads, and they were doing the shoey and all this kind of carry on.
Oh yeah. I was trying to figure what that was. They were talking about that during the broadcast, and I didn't know who the lads were, but
there's some there's some New Zealand or Australian group.
Yeah,
I couldn't tell you about them, but they're social media influencers or YouTubers or something along those lines.
Yeah. But he's an honorary member at this stage. They were saying, yeah.
Even John Anik said he'd do the shoey if he won and all this. Look, he's a guy that you could push like a Mark Hunt.
Yeah.
No one's expecting him to win every fight.
Yeah.
He's entertaining, and he'll draw big numbers, especially in that part of the world, because they don't really have outside of Whitaker and I suppose Adesanya. They're two pretty big names, and Volkanovski.
But I think you were going for the heavier divisions
in a heavyweight, and that's what they love over there.
Yeah.
Like the fame of Mark Hunt, he's kind of following.
They need a few more Islanders to take over.
100%.
Yeah. Right, who else we got?
Main card.
The Kutalaba and Ankalev.
Oh, how fucking right was I, by the way?
Yeah. Now, there was no doubting in this time anyway.
I saw the funniest meme in MMA I've seen in a very long time. So when Kutalaba went stiff, it just so happened that he fell back with one thumb up. Fist clenched, thumb up. So
he was okay.
Basically, the meme was now the guy is stiff, washboard stiff, and the meme is another terrible judging decision. They'd circled the thumbs up, and he was like, he was giving the ref the thumbs up. There's no way he was out. Expect to see the third one soon and all this. Yeah, no.
So Magomed moves on up the rankings now. He's into the top 10 now, I'd say. Is he looking for...
See, he was fighting 12. It's 11v12. I don't know if they're going to give him the top, but he'll definitely be fighting top 10 next.
Yeah, did he call out someone particular, did he? No, he just asked... He just asked for somebody within the top 10, I think. Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah, and he's earned that shot.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of guys would have taken the victory and just washed their hands of it, moved on. Mm-hmm. And he went, no, I'm going to go finish this guy.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he looks a big threat for that top 10. But, yeah, Kutalaba, love him, but it was always a bad stylistic matchup for him.
Yeah, no, I was surprised to see him go so fast, actually. What I did was I was actually playing around with the video feed, and I was queuing it up on that. I was going to do like a kind of like a commentary over the fight.
Oh, yeah.
And by the time I had the whole thing set up and ready to go,
he was gone already.
And he was out cold. Like,
yeah,
he was really, really bad. Really badly knocked out in this one. So
Ankalaev's striking looks legit.
Yeah.
Scary.
Another Magomed. So
you
had
more of them.
You had the flyweight women then, Lauren Murphy. Of course, I called this one wrong again. The Uzbekistani debutante.
Uzbekistani Justin Bieber.
I didn't know whether she was
Same
in the right division.
Anyway,
yeah. But I like. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I need to upgrade my my opinion on the Russian females.
No, look, I just think, I know we were saying about the 125 division is weak and there's not many contenders there. At the end of the day, Lauren Murphy was ranked number 4 in the world. For a girl to come in on her debut and take her on, that's a huge step. Huge step. Like, I don't think we found out anything much about Shakarova on this fight. I think give her another couple of fights and we'll see where she's actually at. I just think all the momentum was in Murphy's favour. All of it.
I just found Shakarova was... Or Shakarova, is that right?
Shakarova, yeah.
Found her
and by the way, I said the last day, let's hope she looks like Shakira. Oh, god damn, was I wrong. Holy shit. Justin Bieber fucking...
Yeah, I found her very trigger shy. And she was only wrestling. Yeah. So that's the thing with... That'd be like somebody coming from jiu-jitsu and not having any striking. And it was pretty much the same thing. She was coming with a bit of wrestling, very, very trigger shy, not active with her wrestling. She wasn't shooting, she wasn't closing down the distance. She was backing off and kind of waiting for that low single shot, whatever. And Murphy was just like as stiff and all as Murphy was with her kind of shoulder movement and what have you. She was moving forwards. She was feinting, throwing the shots, getting close, and when she did get to the grapple, she out wrestled Shakirov as well. So yeah, complete domination and nice finish as well.
Cynthia Calvillo did come out and tweet saying not impressed.
Not impressed with your performance.
Which
taking a leaf out of GSP's book.
She's right. Like I don't think Murphy was saying that with this win she get a title shot. I don't think that's fucking happening. She's still got to go through it.
Andrade is going to go ahead of her, 100%.
Well, this is it. You have Shevchenko's fighting Moya, and you have Calvillo. You have Chookagian, I suppose, is still up there.
Yeah, but she just got beaten by
Andrade,
yeah. So
and you have Andrade up there as well.
Yeah, I think Andrade is the number one contender now.
But yeah, 100%. But what Murphy needs to do now is beat a Chookagian or beat a Cynthia Calvillo, and then she might get a shot. But again,
she did make a good point for her case. It's not going to happen. Like she's not.
No.
She's just not going to hold it with Shevchenko. Like Shevchenko's too fast, too skillful. Lauren Murphy, as good and all as she's done to get to where she's at, like she's literally reached her potential now, I think.
And this is it. I think she was making the claim for the title shot because she knows that. And she knows that Cynthia Calvillo, Chookagian, Moya, Andrade, she knows they're all terrible matchups for her. But she's in 4 now. She's got to win, and she's going, right, if I have any chance of getting that title shot, this is it.
Yeah.
So, look, it she got the win, but like you say, not that impressive. And she's 4-fight win streak at 25 after coming out from 35.
Yeah. And her last 3 fights were against ranked opponents as well. Yeah. Before Shakirov.
It's detrimental to the strength of that division, really. No disrespect to Murphy, but
they needed Andrade in there just to kind of beef it up a bit.
And a few more of the 15 contenders could move up and make it very interesting. Maybe down the road, but at the moment it's a bit weak.
In the middleweight division, we had Phil Hawes.
Ooh.
I'm actually concerned, or I was concerned. Actually, I forgot about him afterwards, so maybe I wasn't that concerned. But Malkoun suffered a vicious knockout there, but he did not look right. Even after they revived him, he did not look like he was out of it, and he had to be carried out. He walked of his own on his own legs, but he
didn't look with it.
Yeah. So I hope they looked after him. I presume they did because we hadn't heard anything about him since. But that's scariness of brain trauma.
100%. And Phil Hawes looked like a guy that he had somewhere else to be. He wasn't hanging about in there at all. His buddies had started the after party in the back. He wanted to go.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah, that was.
And how far down are they? I can't remember what was their records.
Hawes is not long off Dana White Contender Series. These are unranked guys. No, Malkoun was coming in with a lot. Well, not a lot of hype, but prospect. Hawes the same. So a win in that fashion. Yeah, does great things for Hawes, but I still don't think he'll be fighting a ranked opponent next. I think. Yeah, but he will be moving up a bit.
But that was Malkoun's UFC debut, wasn't it?
Yeah.
He was coming off, I think it was like 3 or 4 on the Australian circuit. Yeah. Now, Australian circuit is tough. Yeah. But even, like we were speaking about, like even the feeder shows, if you look at some of the records of the guys that are on the feeder shows, like they're like 3, 4, 5 and all, they're not getting called up to the UFC at that.
No. I think it was, there was some fight fell through. Yeah. But it's gone back 2-3 weeks ago now. It's not like it was short notice fight, but not very short notice. Yeah. And Malkoun stepped up and
just a little bit too soon.
Because he's close. Yeah.
Bit too soon. But maybe this will be the turning point for him. Maybe he kind of like with some athletes, all you have to do is expose them to a higher level, and they immediately take a level jump. Hopefully that's for him. He needs a good layoff after this. He should not be fighting in the next 6 months.
He shouldn't be training in the next 6 months.
He should be. I hope he's still in the hospital right now, getting under supervision, because he did not look right after that KO.
I'm going to be very unprofessional now. I need to take a piss break.
Radio.
Can we pause?
We can pause. How do I pause? So I suppose we better continue on our discussion there with Alexander Volkov and Walt Harris. The heavyweights collided.
Yeah.
What do you reckon?
Yeah, called this one as well.
Yeah, I know I didn't. I literally got all the fights wrong. What's going on there?
Well, no, you got 2 right, I think, on the main card. Whitaker and Hawes.
Yeah, but I didn't know who Hawes was, so that was a pure guess.
Yeah, no, it looked... Volkov looked impressive, and Harris, again, looked a bit hesitant.
He was having trouble dealing with the range of
100%.
Of Volkov.
And there's a guy who knows how to use his range.
Yes.
100%.
Maybe he should coach Stefan Struve.
Don't know if that'll benefit him in any way, but yeah.
But that stab kick, that snap kick to the belly.
Yeah, it looked rough.
It's totally underrated. Someone else used that really, really well as well later on in the night. I remember taking notes of that now from someone else's fight as well. But that front snap kick to the stomach is huge. It was someone against a wrestler. Who was it? It was Nathaniel Wood used it very, very effectively as well to manage the range against the wrestler, you know.
Yeah.
Very hard to come through it.
And this is the thing for a bigger guy like Walt Harris. Those hurt.
Oh, they hurt like everyone.
I know, yeah, but trust me, when you've a bit of a gut on you,
it's not extra padding or anything.
No, God, no. You think it absorbs it, but they hurt that bit more. It's a little bit softer in that area. they hurt it quite a bit.
The pain on his face was very, very
evident.
Jesus.
Yeah. Look, Volkov's one of those guys that he's very close to that upper echelon in that division. Interesting to see who they match him up against next. This is probably his biggest win, I would argue, just based on the rankings at the moment. So someone like, I think Blades and who are matched up? Curtis Blades and Derek Lewis are matched.
I'm not sure.
I think they're matched up to fight, but you'd like to see him against maybe a Jairzinho Rosenstruck or someone next.
Yeah, Rosenstruck is the one that he actually pronounced. They were impressed with his pronunciation of Rosenstruck. Yeah, Rosenstruck would be a good one.
Yeah, be a good matchup from next. Even a JDS, someone like that.
Yeah. So those are the 3 he called out. He called out Rosenstruck. Overeem. Did he call out Overeem?
Very possibly. I didn't actually see who he called out.
Yeah, he called out Overeem, Rosenstruck, and Dos Santos. Those are the 3 he called out.
There you go. I should be a fucking matchmaker. I didn't hear that at all, and I called out 2 of them.
Yeah.
They'll all be interesting fights, and a win against any one of them will put him right in the title picture.
I think it'll be Dos Santos because I think Overeem has called out Rosenstruck
he wanted to stop run back.
And I think there'll be an appetite for that.
Oh, 100%. And Overeem on his, I suppose, he's been quite open about it that his last run towards the title. They're going to kind of give him. They're going to kind of let him call the shots at the moment.
Yeah.
To see if he can complete his legacy with a title shot and win.
And he was dominating that fight with Rosenstruck. It was literally just one combination that he lost. That was it.
Late in the 5th round as well.
So who did you say? Curtis Blades and Derek Lewis are matched, are they?
As far as I know, Blades and Lewis are matched up to fight.
And we don't know what's happening with Francis Ngannou.
That's actually in a few weeks, as far as I know. I'm gonna double check that because I could be talking out of my fucking hole. But
well, Curtis Blades, Francis Ngannou is waiting on the title shot, and then we have John Jones throwing a spanner in the works. Then
Blades Lewis, on 28th of November.
Yeah, so looks like I'd say Dos Santos for Volkov. So
which is a very tricky matchup for him. But again, if he can use that range, that'd be a huge win. Yep.
And Tibura is coming up behind him as well. So
yeah,
Tibura came off the win there last week, and wasn't he?
Yeah.
Who did he fight last week? I can't remember who it was.
Fuck. Yeah, my head is like a sieve.
We'll have to go back in our notes.
Yeah.
All right, and then the main event co-main event. Robert Whittaker, Jared Cannonier.
Yeah. Again, I saw this one coming. Cannonier is devastating striker if he can get his hands going, but Whittaker is just, his fight IQ is right up there with the very best in that division.
Yeah.
And like I said, outside of Izzy, I think he's a clear second in that division.
And the commentary team we're talking about how young he is as well. He's still not 30.
I know.
And he's been through so many like epic championship fights, like 5-rounders. Like, it's the first time he fought 3 rounds in almost 4 years, I think.
Yeah. A lot of people are calling for him to fight Costa before he goes up against Izzy next.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Give the man a break. Like he's fought.
I know, just fought a killer. The killer gorilla, quite literally. And to go in there with Costa would be a very tough outing for him. But again, like I say, I think he does get through Costa. It's just a matter of how many times, like you say, Whittaker's not 30 yet. What age is Adesanya? 31? 30, 31?
Don't know.
I
would say 31. He's a little bit older than Whittaker, yeah.
How many times do those guys fight?
Yeah. They're going to have a trilogy.
If Izzy sticks about at 85, those guys fight 3 times minimum.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's even if they all go to Izzy. if there's back and forth wins, they can fight 4 or 5 times.
Yeah,
because they're, in my opinion, quite a ways ahead in that division.
Yeah. And who was it who beat Till in that division? Who beat Till? Was that
Whittaker?
Whittaker beat Till, yeah. That was so Till is not in there.
Till
Romero
is
not
fighting
in there.
Hermanson next.
Yeah. So if Hermanson win, maybe then you get Hermanson and
but again he'd have to fight someone like Yoel or someone that's close to the top before
Hermanson or
Hermanson would.
Yeah.
Before he gets a title shot.
Yeah.
Like before he gets a shot ahead of Whittaker, I mean.
Yeah.
So it'd be an interesting one.
They're not going to put Whittaker up next, like they're just not.
But that's it. I can't see it. And I think all this has done has driven the momentum for the July fight between Izzy and John Jones.
Mm-hmm.
Like it looks more plausible now after that result.
Yeah, now we'll tidy up the heavyweight division as well.
Because even Izzy said it himself, if Cannonier looked impressive, he was next.
Mm.
He mentioned nothing about whoever looks impressive, whoever wins impressively is next. Yeah. Whittaker won impressively, but I don't see Izzy wanting to run that back right away.
No. I don't think he gains anything from it either at the moment.
Absolutely not, no.
Yeah.
So, yeah, could be lucky at Izzy John Jones July next year.
Yeah. And it's, of course, the main event. We've already spoken about it.
Mm.
Well, we've spoken about the ramifications about it, but we didn't actually speak about the fight itself.
Yeah.
I reckon Gaethje was starstruck.
100%.
And I don't think that I don't think this is necessarily like Khabib being that much better. Okay, he did. He whooped him.
Yeah.
Right. Let's be clear about it. He absolutely whooped him. There was nothing there coming back from Gaethje. Couple of leg kicks. Maybe if he had landed a few more. But
those leg kicks looked like they were hurting as well.
Oh, they were definitely hurting.
Yeah.
They were definitely hurting. But he was already gassed in the 3rd minute of the first round.
Mm-hmm.
And that was just pure
pressure,
excitement and adrenaline and everything. And the only way you get like that is when you're fighting your hero.
Yeah.
And like even directly afterwards, I know it's a great sign of respect for him to kind of, come over and console him while Khabib was so emotional on the floor.
Yeah.
But I'd say like he was going in there to lose. I don't think he was going in there to win.
Maybe in the build-up, but I think when he stepped in there and felt the presence of Khabib, his mindset changed, definitely. And even more so maybe when the bell went, because he did walk across the cage and look to implement the game plan, and it just went out the window after about 45 seconds when Khabib just never left his face.
Yeah. It was relentless pressure by Khabib. That was impressive. Yeah. It was like, I mean, his performance was very impressive, but I think an awful lot had to do with Gaethje just not being there at his 100%, and just purely psychologically not 100%.
Yeah. And a lot of people going into this fight as well were commenting that Gaethje was his toughest opponent stylistically, and that the wrestling he was on a different level to anyone Khabib had fought before.
Yeah.
one thing I did see, and then they shit on him after about his wrestling was awful and his jiu-jitsu was fucking worse and all this. But one thing I did notice during that fight, there was a sprawl from Justin Gaethje at one point. He was back to the cage, and Khabib reached in for a single, and Justin actually sprawled and turned his body to sprawl into the middle of the octagon. Very impressive sprawl. But in doing so, Khabib changed from a single to a body lock and got the takedown. I mean, that just goes to show...
It's the chain wrestling.
In a snap decision like that, from an excellent defensive movement, Khabib can turn it in his favour. And Khabib's just different level wrestling.
Yeah, it's the chain wrestling. It's just a relentless combination of one to another, to another, to another. And like we talk about it all the time. Like with the IMAFs, we have this exposure to the younger generation of the Khabibs, but you get the same level of pressure from them.
Yeah,
and until you feel it, and again, like Gaethje, great wrestler.
Yeah,
but is that the first time he's faced a Russian wrestler?
No, Jesus, no.
I'd have to go back over his record again, but
I think, as far as I know, he's fought a couple of decent Russian wrestlers from his times in World Series of Fighting. Again, I could be pulling that out of my arse, but I have something in my head that he has faced very stiff competition for two guys from Sambo background. Like, no, they wouldn't be Khabib level, but I'm going to say something that's quite controversial, but after watching it, I've made a decision up in my head that the best defense we've ever seen to Khabib's wrestling was the first round against McGregor.
Yeah, no, I would have said that. I would have said that like straight after the fight. I thought actually McGregor did very, very well.
Yeah.
And apart from Ali Quinta, you could argue that McGregor has done the best out of the four people I've lost to him. You know, and we said that, like,
well, maybe Gleason Tebow would have something to say about it.
Yeah.
That's going back a bit.
It's going way back before Khabib had kind of figured out his cage style for the American wrestlers as well, because he was shooting more double legs back then,
and
single legs,
and from all the way across the cage he was shooting.
Yeah, exactly.
He was very telegraphable when he first came in the UFC scene, but.
Yeah, I'm not seeing a lot of Russian names on Gaethje's record. So, like Nick Newell,
you could be right. So
Palomino, Brian Foster, Firmino, Michael Johnson, Eddie Alvarez, Dustin Poirier, James Vick, Edson Barbosa, Donald Cerrone, Tony Ferguson. Again, like all I would say Western style wrestlers.
Yeah.
But it's just different. It is totally different. The Russian style is just different. And the Russian style is better for MMA. Because it's got the right time, it's got the control, it's got the chain wrestling.
Yeah.
Whereas we say, like, with freestyle, with the American style of wrestling, it's more about getting the pin or getting the takedown, and then
not the control.
Yeah, there's not as much in it. Now there are American wrestlers who have adapted that. So Phil Davis, Mr. Wonderful. He's got a very, very good style of that. Daniel Cormier has a very good style of that, you know. But by and large, those that have gone through the kind of collegiate wrestling kind of circuit, the NCAAs, and even though that has the right time in it, it's just not as prevalent as the Russian style. And we're just seeing a different level. And I think, I don't know, I definitely think that Gaethje was just starstruck.
Yeah, looked at. And it's one of those where people shouting now that Gaethje is next in line for the belt. I think, fair enough, coming off the best performance of his career before this fight against Tony Ferguson. But this, for me, was the worst performance we've seen of him in the UFC.
Yep.
By some distance. So it's hard to argue his case for a title shot based off that performance.
Like, even his, just thinking his last two losses in the UFC were Eddie Alvarez and Dustin Poirier. And which one
got caught in both of them?
Yeah. But there was one that he was stopped, like he was really badly beaten and the referee had to stop, and there was I can't remember which one it was. I think it was the Eddie Alvarez fight.
Poirier. And Herb Dean stopped him, and he was staggering back to his corner. Yeah. Herb Dean with his arm around him was helping him back to his corner.
Yeah.
And he kept saying to Herb, "Why did you stop the fight?"
That's the one I was thinking of. Like, yeah. I'm just trying to think, like, because I'm looking at the names around there, like Eddie Alvarez would do a big name. I'm trying to think, is he just getting starstruck by big names? Like Eddie Alvarez, Dustin Poirier. Like he didn't have that same problem with James Vick, Edson Barbosa, Donald Cerrone. He didn't have it against Tony Ferguson, who should have been someone he would have been starstruck.
See, this is the thing. I don't think it is, because if you look at those 2 losses, he still looked phenomenal up until the stoppage.
Yeah,
like you look at his UFC career from day dot till now, he has looked phenomenal in every fight. That's the reason he's nearly got a performance bonus in every fight he's fought in. And this one, he just looked like a deer in the headlights for the vast majority of the fight. He looked clueless after a minute in. Still landed some good strikes. A lot of that was probably just subconscious defense, kind of like the leg kicks and some of the left hands he did land.
Yeah,
they're in his brain. Like you was talking to Jim about monkey brain.
Yeah.
That's that coming out. But outside of that, he froze up mentally in that fight.
Yeah, he panicked.
Yeah, and that's the first time, I think, for me anyway, that's the first time we've seen that from him.
Yeah, I think maybe he'll maybe this will be the thing that kind of it's a big lesson for him. Like I don't think anybody else, there's nobody else there he's going to get starstruck by.
Conor McGregor.
Maybe McGregor, yeah. Maybe McGregor. I mean, if he froze up like that against McGregor would have had him knocked out.
And this is the thing. So what killed him was his style. He just comes forward. You hit him, he's still coming forward.
Yeah.
Whereas with what happened against Khabib was Khabib confused the shit out of him by throwing hands for the vast majority of the first round and not really going for the takedown. And every time he was hesitant to throw because he was expecting the takedown and got struck and was on the back foot for a lot of it because of that. With McGregor's not going to take a back step. He'll come forward. He won't let Gaethje march forward. And if he does, he'll make him pay for it because he's one of the best counter strikers going backwards in the division. So you could have a very similar case of him getting a little bit starstruck early on against McGregor.
Yeah. I don't see that fight going for him at all.
No.
And that just kind of leaves it then. Where does he sit in the division, do you know? He's kind of the gatekeeper now?
No. That's harsh. You can't have a guy that's, for me right now, is number 2. Because I think if you run back the Poirier fight, I think Gaethje takes it this time. He was winning that fight up until for me. Now I know it was close fight, good fight. Both guys were in there, but for me, he was winning the fight until he got caught. He murdered Ferguson. So unless
love those guys.
Yeah, unless someone like Charles Oliveira can come in and get a win against him, or Dan Hooker, which I don't see. I just don't see his striking being on par with Gaethje's. I see him as number 2 in the division right now.
Yeah, interesting one. So we're going to have to see, like, it really comes down to the Poirier-McGregor match. That has to happen before we see any clarity going forward now.
Yeah, I hope for Poirier's sake that the fallout of this doesn't mean that doesn't get done and they try and move McGregor into a different matchup, because I think every Irish MMA fan is a fan of Poirier.
Yeah, of course.
Just based on his resurgence after the first McGregor fight and his attitude after the fight and the respect between them and everything he does for charity, and the $500,000 would be a lot for the charity he's doing and all that. So I hope that fight does go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, I see it going ahead. I don't see why not. Like unless they put Gaethje against McGregor for the interim.
Yeah, I could honestly see them doing. You're saying Gaethje. I could honestly see them pulling McGregor and saying McGregor versus Chandler.
Yuck.
I know, but I've this awful feeling in the back of my head that they want to reward Chandler.
Yeah.
For being their guy. They're I'll do this for you. I'll fight anyone you want on 254. No one will fight him. I'll make weight. I'll step in if anyone falls out. They're going to want to reward him for that. Be it a number 1 contender fight or be it a title fight.
Yeah. I hope they don't. I hope they don't put him straight for a title. I don't think it will do him any favors.
Absolutely not.
And he's not going to say no to it, but I think he needs to kind of break into that top 5.
Yeah.
So I suppose that's 254.
Yup. There's a couple of other pieces of news.
Yeah.
Bellamere.
Lady Mir,
Yeah.
at 17 years old, picks up her
First win.
first win.
First pro win.
Did you watch the fight? I didn't get to see
I
it.
watched highlights of it. I didn't watch the whole fight.
Yeah. She
Looked-
had some adversity in there.
So she dominated first 2 rounds.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to say she got complacent, but it seemed like she kind of lost her head a little bit in the 3rd round. And like, wouldn't say she was close to being finished, but I reckon if it was a 5-round fight, she'd have been in big trouble. Big trouble. But again, I suppose that's a learning curve as well.
Mm. And she's the kind of kid that's going to learn loads from every fight. Do you know, it's not a case of like, she's not going to need a lot of tune-up fights like to get into that mindset. You know, just from meeting her and from seeing her train, and just even the way that she listens to her dad while her dad was coaching. This is a fast learner. Yeah, I see her being a contender in the flyweight division very, very soon. Is that flyweight she fought at?
Bantamweight.
Bantam. She'd make flyweight.
Yeah, she looked very small at bantam.
She'd definitely make flyweight. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, look, very impressive. But it's kind of, that's a small promotion. Mm. Does she stay there and hope that they can find another girl? How long is she going to be sitting out? This is only their 2nd card.
Mm. Well, I think it's the equivalent of amateur over in Vegas. You know, they just don't have an amateur scene. We spoke about this lots of times, and for the, like, even as you go through the records of a lot of the fighters that are on the next Bellator card as well, lots of them have 1 amateur fight, 2 amateur fights, maximum 5 amateur fights, and suddenly they're fighting bigger pro shows. I just don't think that the amateur scene is there. I would have loved to have seen Bella compete in IMAFs. I think she would have excelled all the way through and gotten phenomenal experience, and you know, but the scene is just not there, and particularly this year with the pandemic and everything like that, you know, this is as good a way as any to get the ball rolling, you know.
But do you see that changing anytime soon? Do you see the Americans looking over, maybe now with the Kazakh influence and the Russian influence, and even the Irish surgeons, Italian surgeons, I could list numerous countries that have done well at IMAFs, and all of a sudden are having a surgence of top level pros. Do you see the Americans going, we need to rethink our plans on amateur? Rethink, I know, because you were saying a lot of states and a lot of, like in Canada, there's different rule sets, and it doesn't make sense for them to fight amateur because they're not benefiting from it. But do you see them changing the rules and the regulations so that they can compete at amateur level to be?
I don't see it changing over the next 3 years. I think it's going to be a longer term project.
It'll probably be when the UFC has no American title holder and they go, hold up a fucking second.
Yeah, maybe that's what it has to be. Yeah. Maybe when they see the entire thing shift over to the Etihad Stadium in the Middle East, and suddenly America is just one of the minority countries in the whole show. Yeah. But I think that the biggest obstacle they have at the moment is the political scene in America. As you mentioned, individual states have different licensing rules on what can be an amateur fight or who can fight amateur, or
even
what the rules are.
Even pro now, they have different regulations, which is insane.
And within the amateur association, there's 2 different amateur associations in America as well, and neither the 2 of them talk to each other. There's a massive split there.
Makes perfect sense.
Yeah, there's, you know, it's just not in a good state at all at the moment. Now I know they're trying to revive it, but they've lost a lot of momentum on it, you know.
But it's going to take someone influential from the UFC or someone from Bellator to change that, because it down the road, like you say, come 2024, 2025, the Americans are going to be hard pushed to have a title holder.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's not going the right way for them.
No, but the next generation are very much European, Oceania, Asia, Russian based.
Yes, definitely. But fair play to Lady Mir. I mean, this is the only. I suppose it's the main platform she's got. It's the way that, you know. I don't think her father's going to run her any wrong paths in this progression. A small local pro show, you know. I mean, I don't see any pro bantamweights or flyweights hurting her. You know, she's too tough. She's too much of an athlete. She's got very, very strong wrestling, very, very strong jiu-jitsu. Those are the skills that keep you safe in the cage, you know. And against, you know, female bantamweights and female flyweights, there isn't a huge number, even in the UFC, there isn't a huge number of them with knockout power.
Yeah.
Do you know, you have Jessica Andrade, you have Shevchenko, like the top three.
Yeah.
Do you know, Joanna Jędrzejczyk. You know, you have the top tier girls have knockout power, but a lot of the rest of them don't.
Yeah.
Do you know, so it probably wouldn't be advisable for, we say, a welterweight male to be having your first MMA fight as a pro fight and work your way through there. That wouldn't be advisable. But for
because you can get hurt.
Yeah, exactly. You can get your brain scrambled.
Yeah.
Forget your kids' names. All of that, you know.
Yeah.
But no, good news for Bella. Delighted for her.
Definitely.
I'm gonna have to go back and watch the fight now. I should have watched it.
Yeah.
Frankly, kill me.
Yeah, 100%. And I suppose the other big news, we kind of touched on it last week about Chimaev and supposedly having a fight booked against, I believe they were saying last week that it was
Leon Edwards.
No, who was it?
Damian Maia. Was it Damian Maia who got pulled?
No, the Damian Maia one was originally after Mearshart. That fell through, and they were talking about, I can't remember, but they were basically almost a done deal against Neil Magny.
Neil Magny. Ah, yeah.
That's the one, and they were back and forth. And now all of a sudden, that didn't get done for whatever reason, and the UFC decided to play hardball with Leon Edwards. I mean, this is one of the most unsportsmanly things treatments of a fighter I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Cut from the rankings for not taking a fight. Now, supposedly, he's turned down 4 or 5 fights.
Yeah.
So the story goes.
Right.
And
well, can you believe that? Like, because UFC tend to throw fighters under the bus a little bit, don't they?
Oh, 100%. And he on his side, then he's saying that he's called out fighters and they've turned him down. So it's hard to know who to believe. But the reason I'd lean towards maybe the UFC are right is because the minute he got cut from the rankings, he called out Chimaev. So there's some kind of truth in it that he went, I know what I got to do. Fuck it. I'll fight the man. But, my God. Imagine being ranked number 3, cut from the rankings. Fight this horrible nightmare for anybody.
Yep.
And they reinstated him in the rankings right after booking the fights. And the purpose for that, obviously, being that if Chimaev wins, he's ranked 3.
Yeah, he's going up there, yeah.
Fucking...
Chimaev is going to be the next McGregor in terms of like how he's buddying up to Dana White as well, you know.
100%. He was at Fight Island sitting next to Dana watching the fights. Yeah. Oh,
all they're short now is just having a whiskey together. But I know he can't drink because he's Muslim, like. But you know, maybe a cocktail, a kind of a non-alcoholic cocktail or something like that.
Yeah.
You know,
and no Hito or something. Yeah, look, I'm obviously a complete fucking dick rider, but every week I'm mentioning him. But this fight, December 19th, and it's the last fight before. There's been a fight every week now, it seems like forever, for the last 12 weeks or something. That's the last fight this year. You're looking at a champion. In my opinion, you're looking at welterweight champion next year.
Yep.
Because he's got the fight he wants. He's got number 3.
I'd love to see him versus Gilbert Burns.
Yeah, that's a much more difficult fight for him. So again, no, Leon Edwards is no joke. And everyone's saying that this is lose-lose for Edwards. But at the end of the day, Edwards has not been getting enough credit for what he's done. Is he 6-fight, 7-fight win streak?
I don't know. I'd have to check.
Possibly even an 8-fight win streak. And he just can't get the credit. He can't get anyone to fight him. Apparently, he's been saying all along that he's the boogeyman at 170. He's realised there's an actual boogeyman at 170 and he's got to fight him.
Yeah.
But if Edwards comes out and dominates Chimaev, even beats Chimaev, he's stopped the hype train. He's ranked number 3 in the world. And you can't deny him a title shot or a number 1 contender fight after that.
So he's on a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You're right.
8-fight win streak.
So he's got
at welterweight. No, a couple of fucking. I wouldn't say tin cans. No one's a tin can in the UFC, but
I'm looking at Chimaev is on that list. So that would be somebody that would be stylistically similar to Chimaev. Barberena, Sabata, Donald Cerrone, Gunnar Nelson, Dos Anjos.
A lot of guys there with slick jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
But do they have the wrestling, the power, the jiu-jitsu all in one?
Yeah, I think it's a tough one. He was supposed to fight Tyron Woodley in March.
And then
got cancelled.
Yeah, that was the coronavirus. That was supposed to be in London, and then Tyron Woodley got the Covington fight, or Lawler or Covington, one of them. And he basically kind of stood there like, the fuck? I had that fight. Finally got a fight, and coronavirus stole it from him, and he hasn't been able to get a fight since. So
yeah, it's a tough one. Like a unanimous decision win over Dos Anjos. Like I think Dos Anjos is on the tail end of his career,
and very undersized in my opinion for that division.
For welterweight. Yeah, Gunnar Nelson, he had a split decision win against Gunnar Nelson.
Which I saw him winning that fight. I thought he won that fight.
Nelson or
Edwards,
right? Yeah, I can't remember the fight off the top of my head now. Unanimous decision win against Cerrone. Doesn't look good, really, does it?
No.
Like they're all wins. I mean, can't deny him. They're wins.
This is the thing. Everyone's saying he's a boring fighter. Like he's not going to wrestle. Fuck Chimaev. It's just not going to happen. The guy will threaten with something off his back, or he'll get up. I can't even see him taking Chimaev down. Like you said, the different styles of wrestling, and that it's a different beast. Do you see him taking Chimaev down?
No, not a hope.
Yeah, he'll bounce off him.
Is Leon Edwards British?
Yeah.
How did I not know that?
Yeah, London.
Yeah. No, it doesn't matter. Like the just the level. Like even if he was the best wrestler in the UK, it still wouldn't matter. Like Chimaev is just a different breed, different level of wrestling, from a different culture of wrestling.
Yeah,
different style of wrestling. Everything's there, and it's not like Chimaev can't strike either. We saw that in his Merckshire fight.
And he signed to the UFC based on being one of the most elite kickboxers coming out of All Stars gym in Sweden. That's what apparently the story goes, that he was this scary prospect kickboxer coming out of All Stars. That's why everyone was so shocked when he went in and just dominated on the ground, Khabib style, for his first two fights. Everyone was like, oh shit, no one's even seen his kickboxing yet. So
crazy.
Right. Suppose we better preview some fights.
We better.
Got 2 cards.
Jesus.
Bellator 250.
Right. We ripped through these ones.
Yeah.
Okay, who we got? So are we starting from the undercard, or are we starting from the main card?
This card is a strange one. I've picked out some fights on it. Obviously main and co-main, and then a couple from the prelim card, because the card seems to be all over the place. Like you have Corrales and Gertz in the co-main event.
Yeah.
Guy coming off 2 losses and a guy coming off a loss. Look, both are contenders in and around at featherweight, I suppose, when it's lightweight. But then you have guys on the undercard who are legit contenders.
You're talking about Adam Boric?
Adam Boric.
He actually has a win over Henry Corrales.
Yeah.
And he was supposed to fight AJ McKee.
Yeah.
And his only loss was to Darren Caldwell.
Yeah. That was in the featherweight Grand Prix. So you've him in. You see, this is the problem. His opponent isn't exactly.
Yeah, Eric Sanchez. Scratch. Yeah, he's down on the Bellator side as 5-2. If you go into Tapology, he's 9-5.
He is 9-5. Yeah.
A lot of his wins are by decision, so he's just not a. No. He's not going to be special in any range.
No. So look, if you want to start there, Boric and Sanchez 9-5, 3-3 in his last 6, coming off a loss, and this is his debut in Bellator. This is going to be a tough night for him. Yeah. Although maybe not a long night, because Boric could get him out of there quite quick. But it's a tough one. Boric was on a hype train until he got to that elite level, lost to Caldwell. He has bounced back since with a win over Hamel, but I see it an easy enough night for Adam Boric.
Yep, I agree.
Then you have Jared Scott again on the prelim card, which is surprising because this is the fight I'm probably most excited for outside of the main event. You have Jared Scoggins 10-1 against Toby Misic 11-7. Mm-hmm. For those people that don't know Toby Misic, he's 3-3 in his last 6, 11-7 overall. But he was on Dana White's Contender Series, Hawaiian with slick striking.
Mm-hmm.
He has a win over Perez in his last one, and he just looks impressive. Excuse me. And you have Scoggins on a 5-fight win streak and making his Bellator debut. Very, very intrigued to see how this one goes.
Scoggins is all decisions as well, though.
Yeah, but legit wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
And the 35 division at the moment in Bellator is absolutely stacked. Either one of these guys will be looking to get up into that top 10 as well.
Wasn't it Toby Misic who was supposed to fight Brian Moore as well?
Yeah, Brian Moore was injured, but I was so excited for that fight. Just stylistically, the way Brian Moore fights, the way Toby Misic fights.
Yeah.
They can both take a punch, but they come forward with a lot of pressure. It would have been a fantastic fight to watch. I think Toby needs to get a couple of wins to get back up now, but because I think Brian's looking for top of that division. But hopefully down the road it looks a very, very, very good fight to watch. But and then you have your boy Jack Swagger.
Yeah, so we'll be keeping a close eye on this one. I think think we're on a collision course with Jack Swagger within the next 2 years.
Nice. For obviously Ryan
for Ryan Spillane, yeah. I think
the Hulk.
I think so. I think obviously Jack comes with, or Jake Hager comes with a huge following, a huge wrestling fan base. So they're not going to risk him losing.
Which this goes back to the prelim card, main card debate I was having. Why is he on the prelim card?
Yeah, I have no idea. He should be right up there. Now the fact that they're only on their third fight,
but still, CM Punk fought in a UFC pay-per-view event main card.
Maybe they learned something from that. Maybe they learned something from that. But so Hager coming off that unusual, well, not unusual, it was just a kind of a no contest.
Yeah.
That was the night of Mickey Carnage.
The knee to the thigh.
Yeah. Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
His Jake Hager's human anatomy and knowledge isn't great.
No, God, no.
Yeah. But that was you were talking about that being a weird night of Mickey Carnage.
Yeah, so you'd that fight, and that was a main card fight that night. He's 2-0 and that going into that one, he was on the main card. So that was, I believe, it was the first fight in the main card. The fight was stopped early on for the dick punch or dick knee, whatever you want to call it. No contest. And then 2 fights later, you'd Raymond Daniel spinning back kick fella's dick off twice. It's fucking horrible. One of the worst things I've ever seen in my life, by the way. I was nearly curled up in a ball watching it. But you had that on the same card, so it was a weird night for that. But Jake Hager. What do you make of him so far?
He's hugely athletic. He's got legit wrestling. Now his striking is very much kind of like strike by numbers at the moment. He's kind of got that Muay Thai clinch and bang the knees up through the middle. It's not kind of like it's not a seasoned striker.
Not
it's
very technical. Yeah, but powerful.
That's the problem. Like when you have somebody with that much athleticism and that much kind of balance from wrestling, they don't have to be a great striker. All they've got to do is just put one hand in front of the other. And
Brock Lesnar is a perfect example.
Exactly. And even a lot of the American footballers that kind of came through the UFC there for a while. So you had like
Brendan Shaw, Matt Mitrione, so on. Yeah.
You know, striking of all of the things that we do in MMA, striking is the thing that you can pick up in the least amount of time.
Yeah.
You know, you can get to a competent level of striking very, very quickly. It takes years. It takes like a decade or so to get to that same level in wrestling or jiu-jitsu. So he's a problem, all right. Yeah. I'll give him that. Now, I think he will be a good matchup for Hulk. Yeah. I think Hulk will manage him very, very well.
And Hulk's jiu-jitsu would probably hopefully negate Jake's wrestling. Now, that's all well and good, but I think he has a very tough fight ahead of him on Thursday night. Fighting Brandon Calton 2-0. He's making his Bellator debut, but I've looked at
he's a striker.
2 fights and 2 TKO victories.
Yeah. And he's got 5 AMI fights as well, which is a lot more than Jake Hager.
Yeah. The guy looks legit on the well, I wouldn't say he's the most technical striker in the world, but at heavyweight he's a problem. And if you come forward at him, I think you're gonna have a tough night. Obviously Bellator trying to build up Jack Swagger to a point where fight a higher level guy. But this is certainly not easy matchmaking by them.
No, it's good matchmaking. I mean, do you know?
Yeah.
Like they seem to have kind of tallied up the numbers pretty good on most of the fights on this card, like they always do. But yeah. I mean, the 5 AMI fights could be a big factor here. You know, I mean, you're looking really at a guy that's 7-0 rather than 2-0. Like 5 AMI fights at heavyweight is decent. Do you know, like 5 AMI fights for a lightweight fighter wouldn't really be much of a career, but like trying to find AMI fights at heavyweight is no mean feat.
Tough
so
going.
To get 5 of them done, and as you said, like a lot of his fights have ended. Do you know, he hasn't gone the distance quite a lot, which means that he's got explosive striking. He's definitely got that explosion.
Yeah.
And if Jake Hager's Muay Thai by numbers style is not improving, he's going to get clipped.
Yeah, 100%. And it'll be interesting to see if the chin will hold up and how he deals with that kind of pressure.
Goes to the ground is definitely Hager's though.
Oh, easily, yeah. And I think you could see Jake Hager run across the octagon and go straight away for a takedown.
A kamikaze double leg. Yeah.
I'd give kind of Brock Lesnar style in that respect as well. Look, I have Hager winning, but I think if he tries to stand with this block at all, he could get put out of there. Next fight up, you have Nick Newell versus Zach Zane.
Yeah, so I'm watching a lot of Nick Newell in the last week or so, just because he came up on my feed as fighting Justin Gaethje. I never realized he fought Justin Gaethje. And it was for the World Series WSOF lightweight belt.
Yep.
And he put up a decent fight against Gaethje. In fact, Gaethje is the only person to ever have stopped Nick Newell, which is crazy, considering like he's got one fucking arm.
Yeah,
got one arm. Like,
by the way, he throws that elbow.
He does,
my!
But is it an elbow or is it a punch?
Well, technically, by the way, I'm going to get into this. This is going to be so politically incorrect, and I apologize, right? Because I don't know the fucking terminology. But there is a little stub of an arm after the elbow.
Yeah.
So it is an elbow.
There's fingers on there as well.
Oh, Jesus, it's not, is there?
I
didn't notice that.
Yeah,
they should have a fucking glove on it, so.
They do in some promotions. They made him wear a glove on the stump. Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
It looked ridiculous, but yeah.
Yeah. So it is the elbow he's throwing, but he throws it like it's a fucking short hook uppercut, and like
he clipped Gaethje with one or two of them.
That was the thing. He clipped Gaethje a good few times with it, and it seemed like it was the kind of thing that Gaethje just couldn't see coming. Your man's perfected, obviously, this left-hand short elbow from inside when he's stepping in, and it just seems to be a nightmare for anyone he's fighting. And
he's well and truly adapted his jiu-jitsu around his limitations. I mean, like some of the finishes he's got heel hooks, he's got guillotines, he's got arm bars, got a load of arm bar victories, you know.
Yeah.
So,
and considering he has one arm that's much shorter,
it's hard to defend against that.
But his wrestling is legit.
Yeah, definitely.
His wrestling is so good. Like, I mean, you're teaching a wrestling class from beginners up. I mean, you're on about the gable grip, you're on about different techniques. How do you teach that man wrestling? That's just natural. I know it's thousands of hours on the mat. I'm not saying that he developed it naturally, but I'm saying to learn those techniques and to get that to that level of it, there's just.
Well, I think there's a resilience there that comes with being a congenital amputee as well. You know, a lot of that comes down to, we say, how his parents handled him as a child. Did they mollycoddle him, or did they say, look, fuck it, just get stuck in there? You know, and I think that's the way. It's not fresh in my mind, but I do remember seeing some sort of a documentary at some point in time where he was told, right, look, You might be missing an arm, but just get out there and get on with it,
Yeah.
And that kind of attitude.
I didn't see the documentary, but I've seen some interview about that's the way he was treated as a kid, and his parents never kind of babied him.
Yeah.
They were always like, look, you were born with it, just get on with it.
Just get on with it, yeah.
Which might sound odd, but it obviously worked.
So Zach Zane, God's Warrior, is his opponent, 14-9, 2-2 in his last 4. He's got a decision. He's got a rear naked choke loss to Max Roshkop. So this would be his 3rd fight in Bellator. He won his debut against Nai Dong.
Is it not his second? Oh, sorry, no. It's his.
He was supposed to fight Nick Newell, and it was cancelled in March.
Yeah.
So this is a COVID rescheduled.
But this is his second fight in
Bellator.
Yeah. Won his debut, but he was on Dana White Contender Series, similar to Nick Newell.
Oh, really? Yeah.
I
did. Yeah, that's not listed on his record here, but because those are exhibition bouts, I suppose, aren't they?
No, they're on the record. Dana White's Contender Series.
Oh, it is. You're right. He lost to Justin Gonzalez. It's right in front of me. Jesus.
And he went 2-2 after that. So it's very similar to, and you're on about the matchmaking again, very similar to Nick Newell. Nick Newell was on Dana White Contender Series as well, famously.
Yeah. He was supposed to get straight in, but Dana White wouldn't.
Dana White didn't want him in. Basically, Dana White didn't want him in there for obvious reasons. There's a lot of connotations come up. But there's a lot of connotations come up with that. You're going to be dealing with a lot of PR issues.
Yeah.
Hiring an amputee and putting him in there against these elite killers, whatever.
Yeah.
Now the guy has obviously shown he can hang in there, but he lost his fight anyway. Didn't get the opportunity, but he's gone 2-1 since all in Bellator, or 2 of them in Bellator, since his Dana White Contender Series fight. So again, like that, very close matchmaking. Interesting fight.
Good job.
But I see Nick Newell coming out on top in this one.
I think
more
so
seasoned.
Yep. I think so, and I think the submissions are going to play into a factor here.
Yeah, and do you have any other fights you want to get to before the co-main and main?
Not really. I mean, like, I definitely, like, I'm kind of new to this whole breaking down fights before the cards, and I definitely need to get more familiar with a lot of the Bellator roster. But no, I don't really have any. I
know you mentioned Vita Ortega, but you were just talking about her as a
name. It's a name that I
it wasn't really as a name, was it?
It was a figure, yeah.
Yeah. She was a bit easy on the eye. That's what you mentioned.
I will sure look.
Yeah, and she's on the main card, I believe. Yeah. Strange, very strange.
5-4.
Yeah, against 5-2. Yeah, look, we're not the matchmakers. They're doing it for a reason.
But are they close to the top of their division? Where are they at? What weight are they at?
Can't imagine. Vita has got a 2-fight skid. The Desiree Yanez is making her debut, coming off a loss.
Yeah, so they're in the same division as Danny Nealon. Like.
Yeah, no, these girls aren't.
Danny Nealon has dropped down to 115 to strawweight.
Yeah, but they're nowhere near the top of that division.
Okay,
they're not.
I was just trying to figure out why they were on the main card.
It's because she's a good-looking girl, Liam, like you mentioned earlier.
Did I mention that? I don't remember mentioning
that. And we kind of touched on the co-main event: Henry Corrales, Brandon Gertz. I'm not overly excited on this fight. Look, they're 2 game guys, but the Henry Corrales, like Vida, is on a 2-fight skid. Brandon Gertz as well is coming off a loss to Miles Jory. It's a tough loss. Jory is legit, but he's 2-5 in his last 7. Corrales does have a big win over Aaron Pico, and his 2 losses, to be fair to him, were Archuleta and Caldwell. I mean, they're no easy fights, and he was on a 5-fight win streak, culminating in the win over Pico before that. Yeah. So you'd imagine Corrales would get it done here, but Brandon Gertz is tough, very tough game opponent. It'll be an interesting fight, but like I said, there's a couple of fights on the prelims that are much more interesting. I would lean towards Corrales in that one, but
yeah, we're looking at on the undercard there as well. You have Bobby Volker. When I saw that name, I was like, I know that name from somewhere. And you have to go back to 2013 when he was fighting. He's a loss against Patrick Cote, a loss against Robbie Lawler.
Had a tough run.
He lost another 2 after that, then before getting cut, and then ended up in like a show called Shamrock FC. If that doesn't scream backyard brawl.
Yeah. I'm no. Again, I could be wrong, but I think it's in Boston. But I think it's a fairly decent sized promotion in Boston.
Really?
It could be like a Titan FC.
I just got banned from Boston there today.
I've seen that there's been a good few guys who fought in the UFC that have also fought in Shamrock. So
yeah, like literally all his next 10 fights were in Shamrock, and he's only lost one of those. So he's on the way back around. But is that, I don't know, that's a serious drop in caliber standard, if he's going from UFC back down to Shamrock, and then like next up.
But then again, surely that's the right move career wise.
Yeah,
whatever age, if you get the call up to Bellator, to UFC, and you don't make the grade, you get cut. You see a lot of these guys, like you said, they go on their European tour, they go on the American tour of all these promotions. Get back to basics, go to a promotion and work your way through the rankings there.
Yeah.
Surely gives you more confidence than going on and taking on prospects all over the world you know nothing about.
Yeah, yeah. So he's this will be his 47th fight.
Yeah, Jesus.
So maybe he's looking to get to that 50 and all. Or 50 or 50 fights, not 50 and all, but 50th fight. Yeah. So
but you can't see him making a run at 70, like it's tough division even.
He's won 9 of his last 10.
Yeah, but
3, 4, 5. Yeah, 9 of his last 10.
That Bellator welterweight division is fucking stacked.
Yeah, true.
Stacked.
True.
Speaking of Bellator welterweight division, perfect segue. Mr. Douglas Lima.
There you go.
It's like it was pre-planned, Jim.
It definitely was.
Yeah, Douglas Lima against Mousasi. I really want to get your opinion on this being called a super fight, by the way.
Because of Dudem being
because it's a vacant belt.
Is it vacant again?
Yeah.
So wasn't hold on. Mousasi was a 2-weight champion at one stage, wasn't he? Or no? Am I thinking of someone else?
McDonald was a 2-weight champion when he beat Mousasi.
Okay.
And
yeah, he lost to Lovato. Lovato took the belt off him that time, didn't he?
Yeah. Yeah, look, I don't know about this one. It's a great fight, but you look at the 85 division, you've John Salter. How has that man not got a title shot yet? And then they're promoting a super fight with Douglas Lima, who's just after getting the welterweight belt. It's not like he's a long-time defending champion. So he's a brand new champion at welterweight against a former champion at middleweight for a vacant belt. It's just not a super fight.
So this is for the middleweight belt.
Middleweight title, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, yeah.
You like, imagine if you're John Salter, you gotta be feeling a bit salty about it. That was terrible. I do apologize.
You were up all night trying to
salty dog jiu-jitsu, yeah. It was an easy one, to be fair. Didn't take that long to think about. But there's a few guys in that middleweight division must be fuming over this matchmaking.
This bout was already scheduled as well for May.
Yeah. So obviously it fell through in May because of COVID and then rebooked. So the guys were even sitting out longer waiting for a title picture to be clearer.
Mm-hmm.
And then if, let's say, Lima wins the belt, he probably has to go back down to 70 first and defend before comes back up to 85 and defends. It just strikes me as odd.
And they don't really need a super fight, like.
No, absolutely not. Mousasi, in and of himself, is a star. Like him against anybody at 85 for that title. It's a big draw. So
a lot of dual weight champions in Bellator over the last couple of years as well. That's not. I know it's you know, when McGregor became a dual weight champion, and there was a kind of like almost a trend for it.
Yeah.
But like Amanda Nunes, Daniel Cormier kind of went and
Henry Cejudo.
They took stacked divisions to earn their dual weight belts. But I like with the dual weight title holders in Bellator, it seems to be because of a lack of depth in each division that they're dual weight champions. So you know, maybe I would be inclined from a Bellator point of view to ease off on the dual weight champions.
100%, and build up your champions and promote them so that they have 4 or 5 defenses.
Yep.
And then move up.
Yeah.
The natural kind of, all right, I've cleaned out the top 5, it's time to move up.
Yeah, it's not like we have dual weight champions too at UFC. Kind of looking at UFC, it's like, isn't it, what is it McGregor says about that winners focus on winning and losers focus on winners.
Yeah.
That's what comes to mind with this.
Yeah.
I don't like super fight. I mean, I wouldn't have classed it as a super fight. It is. It's champion versus champion, but no.
But it's not though. It's champion versus former champion. Because he's fighting for the belt, but he's not champion.
So he lost it to Lovato. Lovato
had to retire.
Is that because? that was because of the medical issue, wasn't it?
Yeah. And Mousasi since beat Machida, but that wasn't for the title.
Is that the one that Lovato got cleared by some dodgy doctor in Brazil?
Oh, I don't know anything about that, but tell me more.
Yeah, so he basically is like, he's not cleared to fight anywhere. And it was actually Professor Dan Healy that was at the forefront of saying, look, what he's got is not, he should not be fighting. And he went off and he got medical clearance from like, you know, the doctor from The Simpsons, you know.
Dr. Nick. Oh, excellent.
So he's
everybody.
So he's actually got medical clearance, but on the grounds of...
So let me get this straight. Obviously, the fight then was in Brazil, I assume, because I can't imagine you can get cleared.
I don't
by
know.
Was this after?
Was this after? Like, was it for continuing afterwards, or maybe?
Maybe
was he supposed to? Hang on, I'll just go to Lovato's record there and see if he was scheduled to defend his title against anyone.
Because as far as I know, he is retired now. He had to vacate the belt and retired shortly after, or shortly before Mousasi fought Machida, but it was never made a title fight anyway.
Whoa. He's after gone on to fight to win. He's after.
So he has fought since.
Oh, is that jiu-jitsu though? Oh, it's a grappling bout. Yeah, they're all grappling bouts. Yeah. So yeah, no, there was no scheduled bout after the Gegard Mousasi fight. And where did that take place? That Gegard Mousasi. It was, the referee was Leon Roberts.
Mohegan's son.
Yeah, it doesn't give the.
Or was that in
Bellator 223?
That wasn't in New York, no.
It was ownership venue, the SSC Arena, London, England. Ooh. So that's why it would have come under Dan Healy's remit then.
Yeah.
So they went ahead and fought because he had doctor clearance from
Brazil.
Because
when Bellator put on a show in other countries, they bring their own commission. That's why. So.
Yep.
That's sauce as fuck. Jesus Christ. But I'm saying that in the sense that, can you imagine, touch wood, something that happened to him in that fight?
Yeah.
Who's liable? I know there's personal responsibility. You got in there knowing what you know, but surely the promotion's liable. Surely that doctor's liable.
Well, in the case of the João Carvalho case in Ireland, it came down to three people being liable. It was the promoter, and the medical staff, and then also the referee who was cleared subsequently, but the referee was under fire as well. Now the referee was cleared because in the João Carvalho case there was nothing he could have done differently that would have made any difference. It was all down to the medical team. But yeah, I mean, in the case of somebody getting injured or somebody getting hurt, it comes down on the promoter.
Fuck, that's rough.
Yeah.
Look, you never want to see that in the sport anyway. So
no, but I mean, like he isn't, like, he's no spring chicken.
No, absolutely not. I think he's 40. No,
Jesus Christ, he's the same age as me. So 10-0.
Yeah.
Date of birth 83. No, he's only 37.
37.
Spring chicken, man.
Hell. Thought he was older than that.
Yeah.
So I suppose before we leave 250, Mousasi 46-7-2 versus 32-7. Two like legitimately seasoned guys. Who'd you have?
I have Mousasi.
Yeah.
Just a bigger guy, more experienced. I think. Yeah. I think it's a good. It's a good scrap. Super fight, no. Good scrap. I wouldn't be watching. My
worry is that it hurts Lima's legacy at 70 going forward. He's coming off a loss, defending his belt for the first time.
Yeah.
Strange one. I I know we've gone way over time now, but I want to quickly run through Fight Night 181 at the weekend.
Sure.
Seeming as Anderson Silva is retiring.
Yeah.
You have Hall versus Silva in the main event. Silva, God bless him. I don't know if he even should be fighting in this fight, but one win in his last 8 fights. No, his last 2 losses, Cannonier and Adesanya.
Yeah, Adesanya, he looked great in the Jan Sada fight.
This is it. And it's not like the matchmaking has been quite clever for Anderson since he's been on his kind of run in the last 10 fights. He's had a lot of losses, but no damaging losses. Because he's always going to be elusive on the feet. I think if they put him in against a ground and pound specialist or something like that, I can't see them putting him in against someone that's going to take him down and brutalise him. And Hall similarly is a guy that's going to try and pick him off on the feet. And
it's going to be a kickboxing match.
Yeah, and Hall will probably get the victory, but
I don't know. I think Hall has an issue with the big event as well. You know.
Yeah.
3
and 4 in his last 7, but he is on a 2-fight win streak. And Hall is kind of, he's trying to, I shit on Hall for his last fight for that exact reason, by the way. And he picked up a win. But he's looking to make a run. Like he said, his head is on now and he's looking to
I know,
make a
but
run.
we hear that from, and I know it's your hero, but BJ Penn says this every time he comes back.
Christ, yeah.
I didn't train properly my last time. My head wasn't in it. I'm the best shape ever. This has been the best training camp ever. We hear this every single time, like, you know.
Yeah.
And I just, I think there's something psychological missing for Uriah Hall. He's no doubt he's got the physicality and the talent and everything like that, but you know there's something just not quite right. And he's talking about he's switched camps a few times. He's now back with his original team, I think.
And he, before his last fight, he was on about that he put an extra emphasis on a sports psychologist and all this. And
okay, well maybe that'll be the difference.
Yeah.
But like even just looking at it, his last few fights, like you know, he's Gegard Mousasi is one of his losses. Derek Brunson, Robert Whittaker. He's lost to all of the top guys in middleweight.
Yeah.
Couple of unnamed wins. He's supposed to fight Jack Garay twice. He's supposed to fight Yoel Romero, and then the Anderson Silva is like I don't know. Is this? This is the fight that back in the time when Chael Sonnen and Anderson Silva were coaching the Tough series, and Chael Sonnen said to Uriah Hall during the filming of it, and he pointed to Uriah Hall and he said, "You're going to be the man to take this guy out," pointing to the poster of Anderson Silva on the wall.
Fuck off.
Yeah. So there was animosity between Chael. I think Chael was supposed to fight Anderson at the end of that. I think he did as well, and he
won. He was winning that fight as well, and then got submitted later on.
No, this was the rematch. So this was after that match. It was the second time they fought.
Twice.
They fought twice, yeah. And the second time,
shame on me.
Chael Sonnen threw a spinning back fist that had no hope of landing.
Oh yes,
he sat his arse on the fence, and then Anderson Silva kneed him in the chest while he was sitting down, and nearly broke him in half.
Yeah. I do remember it now.
So that was the rematch, but it was a couple of weeks before that Chael Sonnen was pointing at Uriah and he said, "You're going to take out that Torag," and he was literally that dismissive of Anderson Silva. So I think this is the only reason they're making this.
So Hall's probably been gunning for him his whole career.
He's definitely been training for him for his whole career. I think that Anderson Silva's mind games will get to him. I think Anderson Silva will give him that kind of.
But Anderson Silva's mind games has got to Anderson Silva in a lot of his last fights.
That's true.
He spends too much time. Like it goes back to the Nick Diaz fight where they're basically it's like a WWE fight. Who can do the more fucking taunts mid fight?
Yeah.
It was kind of became a bit of a farce, and against Bisping laying on the cage and come hit me. Yeah. There's nearly too much of that in these fights now, and there's less actual clinical striking and.
Yeah. Although he was starting to step it up against Jared Cannonier.
Yeah.
I felt that Cannonier hit that leg kick just at the time when Anderson was about to kind of go on his. Do you know how he normally takes the first 2 minutes just to kind of size up his opponent,
and then he starts striking.
And then he starts kind of moving. You can see the shimmies coming in, and that means he's coming for you. Yeah. And I felt that that's the time he was about to come at Cannonier, and Cannonier just hit that inside leg kick, and his knee just buckled.
Yeah,
which was like his legs are bait up from 100%. The years of fighting. Like he's just an old man now. Uriah Hall is not going to do that to him. I think Uriah Hall is going to be kind of more boxing, kickboxing, head, like higher kicks, you know,
more body and head kicks.
Yeah. So and I think he's going to be well able for that. And I think I just see Uriah Hall
catching kicks and flicking them to the side and making him look a bit silly. Yeah,
I see Uriah Hall just rabbit in the headlights a moment again. I just don't think, unless now his sports psychologist has
straightened him out.
Exactly.
Well, we're at loggerheads there. I'm picking Hall. Co-main event. Really excited for this one. You've Bryce Mitchell versus Andre Feely. Bryce Mitchell.
Andre Touchy-Feely.
Feely's one of those strange ones where he looks like a contender and then he loses and then looks like a contender again and he loses. He's 3-2 in his last 5.
I was the bridesmaid.
Yeah, and he's kind of hit and miss. But when he does hit, he looks phenomenal. But I think this is just such a horrible matchup for him. Feely is very good on the mat at scrambling. But Bryce Mitchell, Jesus Christ, he's a nightmare. And Reebok have cleared him to wear the camo shorts as well for the first time. So
yeah,
he's going to be
that'll add elusiveness and it'll make him hard to
harder to see. Yeah, can't see them hips rotating. I see Bryce Mitchell picking up winning this one.
Yeah, Bryce is on a tear, like, and he's riding high as well. He strikes me as a confidence fighter as well. Do you know? I think that you know, once you get some momentum behind him, or once he has that momentum behind him, I think he's going to be very, very hard to stop.
Perfect example of that is after he won by Twister, and then he fought Charles Rosa and going for the Twister twice.
Yeah,
and Charles Rosa is a beast on the mat.
Yeah,
like he is so good.
He looked like a white belt.
It was frightening. No, he was so good at just staying out of submissions.
Yeah,
almost getting caught but fighting his way out.
Yeah,
but he got caught. I think Mitchell maybe put up about 8 submissions in the space of that fight against Rosa.
And he was doing a very, very interesting sequence where he was going from he never took mount. He always had 3/4 mount, and he would force Rosa to choose between 2 bad options.
Yeah,
he'd either turn his back and get his back taken, or he would
try and turn into him, and the Twister was there.
Yeah. So it was a very, very dominant performance, and it's the kind of thing, again, like I was saying, it's somebody would only do that if they're like supremely confident and flying high with adrenaline and everything like that.
Yeah.
And it's when somebody has that much self-belief. That's like a McGregor type of self-belief.
Yeah.
You know, where even if the skills are stacked in the opposite way around, your mindset is a skill set in itself. And I think Tug Nasty just has that skill set.
In spades.
His only loss,
Brad Katona, a jiu-jitsu specialist, funnily enough.
Mm-hmm.
Now, from what I remember of that fight, that was it was more just kind of he didn't submit him. No,
he did rear naked choke. Last round. Round 3, the Ultimate Fighter season. It was actually during the Ultimate Fighter, so it's down as an exhibition bout, so that's why it's not on his record.
Yeah.
And his only other last end was to the cordless drill, which I had to tell you about there a while ago. So he actually got his scrotum caught in a cordless drill, and had the whole lot almost ripped off, and then he had to drive himself to the hospital with basically his scrotum in his lap. I know it's usually in your lap, right? But it's actually in his lap.
Oh,
but it was funny. It was funny.
I need a moment.
Yeah, that's going to be a great fight. But I would heavily favour Bryce Mitchell for this one.
Yeah, same. Next up, you have Kevin Holland against Mahmoud Muradov. Holland, one of the more exciting fighters out of this lockdown. He's already fought twice during the return since the lockdown.
Mm-hmm.
He's on a 3-fight win streak, 6-1, since his debut in the UFC. Came off Dana White Contender Series, and first fight up fought Thiago Santos. Fuck that. I know this was before Santos hit the elite level, but he stepped up in short notice to fight Thiago Santos and took a loss. But 6-1 since then has looked very impressive. and he's coming up against a guy who I don't know a whole pile about, but from what I've seen of him, yuck. 13 fight win streak, 2 of them in the UFC, 16 TKOs, 3 subs, and 24 wins. 24-6, but hasn't had a loss in, I think, like 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, I don't know anything about this guy either.
Yeah, but it looks horrible.
Yeah. I'm just looking at Holland as well has a win over Joaquin Buckley.
Yeah. Yeah. One of his in his last run of fights, yeah. So 2 serious contenders here.
Yeah, this is the next
at 85.
It's the next generation through, really, isn't it?
Yeah. So
great fight. I can't pick him.
I was just going to say it is literally a pick 'em, but purely based on record alone, I'm going to have to edge with Mahmoud.
Where I don't recognize where that flag is coming from.
Show me. I'm good with flags.
It's blue, white, and green. Hang on, it should be down here somewhere. Uzbekistan.
Not that good with flags.
Well, that's where Bieber fights from. Shakirov.
Oh yes.
So
yes.
she's
Sorry, she was
Uzbekistani
Uzbekistan as well. She was the very first Uzbekistani fighter in the UFC, and this poor bastard is up a week later. I mean,
well, she was the first. I think she's just the first female.
No, first Uzbekistani fighter.
Oh, really?
Ever in UFC.
Where is
And she took that on short notice and ruined poor Mahmoud. Oh no, wait, no. Mahmoud Muradov is from.
Yeah, I think she was the first Uzbekistan.
He's had 2 fights in the UFC.
Yeah, I think she said she was the first Uzbekistan female.
That would make sense.
Yeah.
He's definitely already had 2 fights in the UFC. I got carried away there for a minute.
You thought you had a scoop. Where is the bullet from? Shevchenko. She's from over that direction as well. She's Tajikistan, is it?
Tajikistan. That's it, yeah.
Jeez, there's too many stands over there.
Yeah.
And if Dagestan ever separates from Russian motherland, we'd have another stand.
And proud Chechnya would follow. Czechia.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Anyway. Any other big fights on there? Greg Hardy. Maurice Green. Why do I know Maurice Green?
Not Maurice Green. That used to be lightweight, by the way. Different Maurice Green. 9-4, 4-2 in the UFC. He's a win over Vellante. Lost to Olenek in his last 2.
Yeah.
Doesn't look
not a contender.
Overly impressive, but then again, he's fighting Greg Hardy. So
yeah,
I've been shitting on Greg Hardy from day one. I just don't like the guy. I
I
don't think he's as impressive as everyone has made him out. That win over Castro was disgustingly horrible. Just not impressive. So
yeah.
I'm going to lean towards Green.
Like Hardy has the first 2 minutes of every fight, kind of like a Francis Ngannou, kind of a power striker for that first 2 minutes, and then there's nothing after that. Then
yeah, but Francis Ngannou versus Rosenstruck, where he just runs across the cage swinging wildly. There's no technique, no.
Yeah,
he's just.
Yeah.
His skills aren't up there at all. Like
no. So no, he's better suited to fighting young women.
Jesus, we're going there again. Last 2 fights on the main card really quickly is 2 lightweight fights. Just interesting because of what's happening in the lightweight division. You've Bobby Green versus Thiago Moises. Great fight. 2 contenders just outside top 15. Green's on a 3-fight win streak. Moises coming off a win over Michael Johnson. Moises as well, Dana White Contender Series alone. I would probably lean towards Moises here.
Mm-hmm.
And the other one is Alexander Hernandez versus Chris Grutzmacher.
Well done on that.
Yeah. Or just Grits, as everyone calls him. 14-3 overall against 11-3. Very good matchmaking, but Hernandez, I reckon, should win this comfortably. Grits is like gritty, and it's in the name. Good wrestler, but if Hernandez can piece him up on the feet, I'd say it's an easy night for him.
It's a stacked card, isn't it?
Very good card. Very good card for a fight night. And competing against a Bellator card as well, technically during the week. Not the same night, but it's an interesting one. And next week, I suppose, we'll touch more on Silva and his career and his retirement if it does come to fore that he does retire after this fight.
He should retire, really, yeah.
Well, he said that he will be, so he'll announce it after the fight, and we'll kind of touch on his career a little bit more next week, I suppose.
Yep. Sounds good. So that's it. So how many burpees do I have now after the last fucking thing? Because I lost nearly every fight.
You've 20.
I picked. I have 20 burpees.
Yeah, it's 20 regardless, win or lose.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
I'll bang out 20 for you, no worries.
Happy days. More than I've done.
I'll put them up on the what's this Facebook group page that we're going to have a lot of chatting. So we're looking for opinions from people.
Yeah, so after taking over a page called MMA Opinion and looking for people to like and follow that as well. We'll be sharing the podcast details on there, but it's actually a great page, great engaging audience. If you're into MMA, you need to follow this page. They break all the news, give all the results of the fights, but there's good discussions on the page as well.
Yeah, and that's the big thing as well, is that you can actually get involved in a page like this.
Yeah,
it's not just like a media outlet that it's a one-way traffic stream. Like this is actually a discussion page, and some really good opinions on there, like some really knowledgeable,
and there's some fucking trolls on there as well. But
of course,
look, it sparks a good debate always, and that's the beauty of MMA. No matter what the fight, if you go onto the page, you'll see we covered all the fights from last weekend, and there was a good debate in the thread following each fight. So it's
so what they called again?
The MMA Opinion,
and it's available on Facebook.
Yeah,
so get along to that. So I suppose, other than that, we're going to put up our picks for both Bellator and UFC cards
during the week. Yeah,
during the week before those fights happen. So we'll be looking for people to stick in their own predictions and see how they stack up against ourselves.
Yeah, and I quickly need to give a shout out as well. I ran a competition on our own page, picks competition.
Oh yeah,
and Chris Hayden picked up the win in that.
Okay, where's Chris from?
Chris is actually from Cork, but he's living over in somewhere in England, as far as I know.
What's he winning? Some burpees?
No, he just gets a shout out in the podcast. But yeah, he was the biggest winner on the page. So
you can have
very impressive. He nearly got as many right as I did.
You can have the empty can of Monster that sits in front of Paul at the podcast. There you go.
Congratulations, Chris.
He'll even autograph it.
Yeah, and again, before we leave you go, follow on all the socials, Blood and Bandage and Blood and Bandage MMA.
Okay, guys. Until next week, this has been Blood and Bandage MMA. Enjoy the fights and get into those discussions, and we'll talk to you next week.